Welcome, one and all, to yet another episode of Wick TV. It's a cross-ideological space where we come together to talk about issues both political and cultural, from silly to the serious. It's going to be a double header tonight, gang. Okay? We're giving you the best stuff first, though, right out the gate, the best conversation, okay? And then at 11 p.m. Eastern, so way in the future, we're going to be talking. Oh, I'm fucking muted. Okay. Great. Wonderful. The sound
Can you
is
guys hear me
muted. Thank
too?
you for
Just
letting
double
me
checking.
know.
Hey, non-fun. I'll
Professional
raid into you.
streamer, Wick TV in the house. Welcome, one and all, to yet another episode of Wick TV. It's a cross-ideological space where we come together to talk about issues both political and cultural, from the silly to the serious. And gang, we've got a show for you tonight. It's two shows, in fact. The first show, the better show, will be Soy Pill has recently had some words to say, and I've decided to convene a council to talk about it. And then at 11 p.m. Eastern, we're going to be debating with Andrew Wilson. He won't box me, but he will debate me, apparently. And we're going to be having a conversation about Christian nationalism. Apparently, he has to save the reputation of Christian nationalists after what me and Eucharist did to them on Monday. So that should be fun. Tune in for that. But we're here to talk about something different right now. Soy Pill, you have recently accused me of having incel-adjacent rhetoric. Can you please elaborate? And then we'll kind of discuss. And when the other people get here, we'll add them in.
Sure. So I wouldn't call myself an incel expert because I am not one. I just, for fun, would browse incel forums back in 2018 and 2019 because I thought it was funny. And this all kind of started because you shared a meme, which I'm not sure if you knew about being incel, but let me screen share here and let me know if you guys can see this.
Give me a second. Yep, there it is.
Right. So this is like stuff I would see every day on incel forums. Now, just to be clear, before I even get too deep into this, I don't think you're an incel. I think you have plenty of sex, Wick. And I also don't want to like disparage your character on this. This is more of a, hey, I see someone I care about kind of treading into territories that I don't like. But I even think on the best of days, you probably wouldn't fall into inceldom because you're smarter than that. I've seen you talk about things like, hey, sometimes men are bad, sometimes women are bad. It's not this like one-sided thing. So you're not an incel, to be clear. But I think you're pushing people in a bad direction, especially with stuff like this. So to be clear, this meme is an incel meme. This guy here who is the prototypical, it's over for you, you'll never have sex because of how bad you look. His name is Saint Black Ops 2 Cell. There's like this big history and lore where they just found some ugly guy they considered a one and said, there's no such thing as fixing this. You will never, ever get laid. Turns out this guy has a girlfriend and totally got laid. So that meme fell apart really quickly. But this idea of, oh, if you're ugly, you can't just say, hey, you have to be this hot model. That's when I started perking up my ears a little bit like, all right, Wick, what are you doing? Now, aside from occasional doomer posting, which may or may not have anything to do with women, but you can elaborate on that, it appears to me, and especially in our conversation last week, that you kind of talk about some of these things in ways that are, in my opinion, very harmful. You say, hey, I'm lamenting at the fact that men can't express their feelings. Women will shit on them for it. And then when I ask, like, well, okay, how do we fix this? Who should we drive people to fix men? You say, go watch, like, Xerxes. And for those of you who don't know, Xerxes is a mutual of ours who is like a black pill poster. He makes videos called The Incels Are Right. He makes videos where he says, fitness is the only way for men to improve their appearance. We should listen to incels more. Women choose bad men. And this is all part of like this incel bubble of rhetoric that I think you take points from sometimes. So I want to make sure that when you have these points, you're kind of moving away from the black pill, more towards the, hey, things suck, but here's how we can make it better. Here's how we put energy into fixing young men. That's what I'm worried about. And I just want to save you, buddy.
Save me from myself. Well, before I give my opinions on this, I do want to hear from the council, okay, that I've gathered. We've some great people here today. We got Mooncake, we got Dev, we got Stardust, we got Rabid Wombat, and we got Charlie. What are your thoughts here? Let's start with Charlie, and we'll just kind of go around real quick. What the
Well,
accusation has been levied, the evidence has been presented. What are your thoughts?
I feel like on the Cupid Royale debate thingy that we had, you made a couple of points that seemed a little bit incelly to me, which surprised me because again, I don't see you like that. I don't see you as incelly. I think one that stuck out to me the most was the uh, discussion of men's feelings not being taken seriously, which I agree with. I agree that men are, not are encouraged to be unemotional and to not express their feelings, and I think that that's bad. But I don't think that women are solely or even, primarily to blame. Um, I think that that is, a part of patriarchy, and I think that, men are typically the ones that punish other men the most for expressing their emotions. And I do think that women, very much participate in patriarchy by, discouraging men from showing their feelings. Um, so that was my
Okay,
those are my thoughts. But also the thing about like, you know, I think about like men who are not conventionally attractive never being able to get laid. I look around me and all I see is evidence to the contrary. I see men that are frankly horrifying to look upon with girlfriends and wives and who are very much loved, because the thing is that all of us deserve to be loved, and beauty is subjective at the end of the day. I have taste that I think many of my friends have described as unusual. I typically don't go for people that are conventionally attractive. Um, and so again, those are my thoughts.
we'll get into it. I'm sure. I don't want to give my opinions too much before we get around the room. Let's hear from Mooncake real quick.
Okay. I think I told you, Wick, that I was more, I guess, devil's advocate on this one because I do genuinely see both sides. So, like, the meme itself, do I think it's like pretty harmless? Yeah, like, it's nothing I'd really write home about. Like, I do think there's some truth to it. But I think that comes more from like a pretty privilege. So, for men and women, where it's kind of like if you are unfortunately like ugly or not conventionally attractive, you probably are treated poorly. I do think there's definitely truth to that. But do I think you're incel adjacent? I don't know for sure. Like, I don't think you are, but I guess I have to listen to the rest of the panel to kind of see how where
You're
that goes.
okay. You're on the fence. You're a centrist.
Yeah, I'm like on the fence about it.
Okay. Dev, I sent you the evidence that he
I
presented.
see you, death
Okay, since you
awaits.
missed it.
Okay.
You've seen this though before. I showed you this earlier when I was bugging you to be on the panel. So, what are your thoughts on this, Dev?
There's nothing wrong with it. I don't see what the fuss is.
That's fair enough.
That's basically it. I mean, it's a meme that I've seen around pretty much everywhere. There's obviously some truth to it. Um, when you say incel adjacent, I assume you don't mean involuntary celibate adjacent, but rather the mindset that comes into being an incel, which is a different thing. Either way, I don't see a problem with it.
Yeah, no, in and of itself, just to be clear, I don't think that Wick posting this makes Wick a terrible person. I don't even think this meme is horrible. I think, in fact, there is truth to it. And in much of incel rhetoric, there is some truth, right? Like, if you're attractive, it will be easier for you to approach women. That's just true. The problem is the kind of bitterness towards women that you see that comes out of this. Like you said, people who have sex absolutely indulge in this rhetoric. This is not a incel, literally, if you are involuntarily celibate. It's just a huge overlap between people who can't get laid and people who are very bitter towards women. And I think that this, along with other things I've heard from Wick, kind of indicate this bitterness towards women rather than this understanding of how society works and how we need to move forward from it.
Okay. I just haven't seen Wick be that bitter towards women, to be honest. So
Fair enough. I haven't either, but I guess we're going to find out as we go. Rabid, what are your thoughts here?
Well, as a Gen X white Anglo-Saxon Protestant liberal who married an immigrant Asian woman, I see nothing wrong with what you're doing. You speak to me, my brother. And, if you look at the Allied soldiers in World War II, they were literally Nazi adjacent, but we were happy they were. They were on the front lines combating the evil and saving the free world. And I think that's what you're doing, sir. I think when you say that handsome men are advantaged, I think it's true. I think the only place that I might cede a little ground to soy is that you would have to be careful where you're sending people, because these topics, we need strong voices that are speaking in a rational way, that aren't coming from a place of anger, a place of blame, that instead see women as our allies, as they have been for thousands of years. They are our partners, combating natural and societal oppression. And I think you're in that camp. So my only contention would be, if you're looking at someone like Xerxes, you need to look at the bulk of their content and see, when I'm handing off these people that I've convinced that I'm a rational actor, I need to make sure that people who are going to piggyback on that trust are worthy of it. But overall, I think you're doing well.
Fair enough. Well, I appreciate that. And yes, the pact, the ancient accord between men and women still is strong today. It is under attack, but we're going to get to that. We're going to get to that. Stardust, are you here yet? You with
Yeah,
us?
I'm here. Hello.
Hi.
No
I'm
camera today?
no, I will be on camera shortly. Sorry. Okay. So, what I will say is that this this meme is not necessarily terrible. But I mean, it's kind of funny. It reminds me of the you guys remember the HR comic where it's like there's a fat guy who's saying something and somebody says call HR, and then there's like the attractive guy and he says something, and then the woman is saying like, "Oh, you're so sweet." So it kind of reminds me of that. It doesn't seem like the most terrible thing. In fact, my earliest memories of Wick are Wick making jokes about how he is the marriage destroyer of
True.
Twitch politics. That men of America should be scared of him because he's going to ruin their marriages. Which it's true, you know. I do recognize that, and you know, I think the fact that Wick is able to go above and beyond with with his efforts. For example, he used to, back in the day when I used to host panels, he came dressed up as a dog one time. Okay, now what woman is not going to find that attractive? I mean, honestly, you know, like like yeah, isn't that like a whole genre for women? I don't know. Anyway, for white women specifically. Anyways,
Oh,
so
shit.
sorry, I shouldn't have gone there. Sorry,
No,
that was a
it's
tangent.
fine.
And no, anyways,
No, that's pretty
Wait,
base.
what?
Keep going.
Don't stop.
We're with you. We're with you.
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm surprised that you didn't get a whole bunch of inbox messages after you dressed up like a dog. That should have been immediately, really. But anyways, so one thing I will say is I just hope Wick has some self-love for himself, and really all of this incel rhetoric about like how you know, there's lookism and things. It applies equally across the board. It applies to women too. You know, women, you know, if you're an average looking woman, you like, you know, you're not going to probably get approached as much as a good looking woman. And also,
Charlie,
men
is
can
that
get
true? It's fucking with
Charlie,
you.
you're
Damn.
Whoa.
Hold on. We're
Well,
talking
okay,
about
hold on. Actually, let me
That-
actually
that-
speak on this.
That
Let
was
me
pretty
speak on this.
incelish, sir.
Let me, because Soy Pill and I have actually talked about this. If you guys don't know this about me, I am detransitioned, which means for about 10 years of my life, to the average straight man, I looked like a chubby butch lesbian, sort of this amorphous androgynous creature thing. Very rarely got spoken to by straight men. Gay men would talk to me, and then I'd open my mouth, and it'd be like, "Oh, you know, like what is
that's
that?"
exactly the point, right? Men don't even
Right.
treat you like you're a human being worthy of being
They
talked.
would literally, yeah, they wouldn't speak. They either would ignore me, or they'd treat me like a bro, which rocked, or they would want to punch me in the face. So while
Yeah,
it maybe wasn't like,
especially
yeah,
men can get away. Like, if we're gonna be real here, like this whole incel rhetoric is completely flipped upside down. Okay, men can get away with looking average. Women cannot as often get away with looking average. If you are average or below average as a woman, you do not get treated as a human being worthy of anybody's time by the male sex.
I
So
just yeah.
that's my point. And also let's be real. Men, average and below average men, can also compensate by by education and attaining wealth and attaining education and building a life for themselves, whereas below average women cannot compensate for that because most men don't really value that. They value youth and they value good looking women.
I just want to point out that this panel was supposed to be about Wick and his rhetoric and the problems with
What
men,
did you
but
think I was
women, as
gonna do?
often they
What did
do,
you think
have
I
made
was
it about
what did you
women.
think I was gonna do? I told you ahead of time what I was gonna do when I came in here, okay? I told you ahead of time. You knew. You didn't want me here. You didn't have to you
We
didn't
love you. We love you, Stardust. We like you here. We want you here. But
Yeah,
I
Wick,
do
to be
think
clear, what I wanted to do was kind of what Stardust was getting into, which is bring up some topics like this and see what your position is on them. And I want you to answer these honestly, like from the bottom of your heart, not like in mind thinking,
Okay,
if
I'm
I
ready.
say it wrong, I'll become an incel, or I don't want to align with the incel. Like, just say what
I'm
you
not
really
worried about
feel.
being canceled for my honest answers. Give me what you got.
Sure. So, like, for example, who do you think has it worse in society, men or women?
In what way? In what
Just in general. Like, if you were to
venue?
ask, like, do women have it on easy mode, as some people say?
In many ways, yes, and not always though. And this is why it's hard to answer this question like with a yes or a no or with a simple answer, is because there are absolutely places in life where women have it much easier than men, but there are also places in life where men don't have to work as hard. Like I didn't have to like put on my makeup or do anything, right, to get on stream and to be taken seriously.
Yeah, me no,
But
I'm putting my makeup on. Yeah.
I know.
Okay.
But at the same time, a woman who is even slightly attractive, even 5 or above, will get a lot more attention and a lot more. They have a higher floor for streaming and a higher floor for people attention. If I, as a as I am, put out that I'm having a bad day and I need help, I'm going to get mocked in a way that women are not.
I don't know about that one.
Yeah,
I
I
because
don't.
I
Yeah.
will say about
I think as a social media content creator, like at least for me, when I put out if I'm having a bad day, I think I get a lot of people ridiculing me. Like a
I think
yeah.
it's
lot of
racism for you though, Stardust,
it might be
specifically.
racist. I don't know.
All right. So,
I
Wick,
will say that for like female streamers, I will say that on Twitch specifically, a woman who's decent looking can absolutely get to partner easier, but there is also a reason that the vast, the like top 100 streamers, 99 of them are male. And that's because while it's easier to get that little kick at the beginning, it's very, very hard to go anywhere beyond that.
The ceiling is
Because
lower for
yes,
the
Yeah.
floor may be higher for women, but the ceiling is significantly lower.
yeah, the
yes,
attention they're
it's very
getting
hard
is
to
not
go.
particularly positive or valuing of who they are. It's just, oh, they're attractive and I'm going to watch them. And it kind of
Hold on.
stops there for a lot of these
What do
people.
you
Right, and
think
I
the
feel like the
intention that
attention
I get? Do you think it's mostly positive or valuable?
I mean, it's much more to do with the things you say than how you look. No offense, but I guarantee you, I
Hold
would
on.
guess
Do you not
less
think I
than
get?
one. I guess less than 1% of your audience is watching because they want to fuck you. I would guess that, versus any of these female
Fair
streamers
enough.
you're talking about.
But
I
if
mean,
you think I don't
also
get
just
comments
as
on my
somebody
looks, you would just
I
be.
didn't say that.
sure, but yeah,
He's
okay,
not paying
course
to
you
take his
do.
as
shirt off.
somebody who's been on Twitch for a while, or I used to be on Twitch for a very long time. When I first was on Twitch, I didn't even get the positive, attractive attention. I just had people coming into my chat saying, "Wow, your nose is really big," or like, or say, like early days of Twitch, like, not early days, but like this was several years ago, and the environment was a little bit different. But I just had people saying my nose is really big. I had one guy saying that my nose is so big he wants to sit on it. He wants to like slide down on my nose, like how big it is. It was to the point where like I started thinking like, do I have a big nose? Because I I don't think I have a big nose. I never thought about that before. I've had like every horrible comment about my appearance said about me. Like I'm horribly fat, a horrible, like disgusting, disgusting bitch. I am just horribly unattractive. All like everything, right? And so like as a woman online, I think you just are in you it is the default to get commented on your looks. It is the default, you know?
Yes, but Wick
So
does too. Like men do too. Men
But
get
not
comments
even
on their
close to
looks
the
all
same
the
You're just
degree.
time.
These
called
are like
an Ewok in the
disproportionate, like
last
Like,
few
to
it's
an
like it's not even
unfathomable way.
not even the positive attention is good. There's a man that self-publishes Amazon fan fiction about raping and murdering me and a bunch of my female streamer friends. multiple of my streamer female friends have stalkers, like people that have been trying to like track them down, followed them across the country. There was a dude who would come into my stream every day for a year, and I'd block him every time, and he would say, this is not me saying it, pulling a it's reverse racism card, but he would be, I'm an Indian man, all white women are whores, that's what we think of you, I want to see you get destroyed by BBCs. Like, even if it's positive, it's people being attracted to me or whatever, it's not fun. I don't like it.
The spectrum is wider in terms of you will get much more lauded because of, you know, the higher threshold of attractiveness, but you will also get stalkers and death threats because of the attraction. And I don't think men experience this even close to the same degree. But I'm not saying there's not the floor. Like, there are parts of pretty privilege that are absolutely true. I've had girlfriends that just get free shit all the time and discounts. Like, this happens for sure. The point is, when I ask you who has it easier, the incel rhetoric is women live life on easy mode because all they have to do is make themselves attractive and life will be given to them. Meanwhile, men have it harder. I know. I'm not saying you say this. This is why I asked your opinion on it. And I don't think you're an incel. Obviously, I would never think that your opinion's going to overlap 1-to-1 on this. But when you talk about the problems that men have, it seems to be in a way that's framed that women are causing them, or that women are ignoring them, or that like somehow this is a bitterness and a battle of the sexes and not a societal problem that's just affecting men poorly that we need to alleviate, and that that women also have these similar problems.
Do you not, well, first of all, do you not think that women are responsible for some of the problems in society, though?
No, women do nothing wrong ever.
Or at least
no, of course. Yeah, no, of course.
of
Like,
course.
in the same way Charlie said, look, if a woman ignores man's problems or demeans them for crying or showing their feelings, even though I think that is part of violating a patriarchal structure of, hey, men have to be this, and if you deviate from this by crying, you're not a man. That doesn't matter. The woman is perpetuating that by saying, oh, fuck you, I'm not attracted to you anymore. That's still her fault, right?
This is my problem with kind of like the criticisms that you're levying here, is that I do bring up issues that I see that I think women perpetuate. I also bring up issues that I see that I think men perpetuate. But when I bring up women and I say, hey, women are causing problems for X, Y, or Z reason in this,
Sure.
they're not acting correct, then people say, well, you shouldn't say that. That's incel-adjacent.
Right. So, like, could you give an example of that? What problems do women cause?
Well, I do think that women don't take men's problems as seriously as they should.
But women aren't causing those issues.
Okay, well, here's one. So we have demanded that women be given access to the workplace, that equity initiatives place them in positions of power, and that they earn a lot more. But we haven't resolved the issue that women don't really like to date down. And there's two sides. There's two sides to that. Men have been taught to be self-conscious about their partner making less than or making more than them. But women very frequently say that they will not date anyone shorter than them. And then the other one is that they will not date anyone that doesn't make as much money as them. And that if we are going to fix for women that they are going to be compensated equitably to men, we have to change that social stigma, tongue twister, that women should be dating up instead of down. There are far more wealthy men, C-suite men, that have waitresses that become their spouses than there are C-suite women having waiters become their spouses.
So I want to be very careful here. So what you've just described.
Get a chance.
Well,
right?
Okay, go ahead.
No, it's okay. No, I was gonna say, sorry, I hate that dating down thing. I don't think women have a problem with quote unquote dating down if you're like talking about salary per se. But
are you dismissing that concern?
No, I'm not missing it, but I think there's an expectation on men where it's like, okay, even if they are bringing in like a lot less money, they're not helping with like the housework or chores. They're expecting women to work, to do the housework, to take care of the kids and do all these things on top of not really being a provider. And I think now a lot of men talk about wanting to be providers, but they
Mooncake
can't
default at
actually do it.
25%. I don't
So
remember why.
it really is at the end of the day the fault of men, and then they're just kind of pushing that blame onto women.
You guys should go to TwitchCon. You're gonna see beautiful rich women with ugly boyfriends who do nothing and make no money. It's like every hot e-girl you can think of has a worthless boyfriend who is ugly and mean. and does nothing with their life and does
Wait,
nothing.
I have a
to make
different
their
different
girlfriend's
counter
life
to this
better.
real quick, Charlie.
I'm
It's
not kidding.
but
I'm
in
not- I would
general,
never
in
hold that.
I
general,
would never hold
but
up
it-
streamers as being typical representatives.
Right.
also
No,
right.
they're not.
In
but I'm
general,
just saying,
it's
it's a
not just
really
a streamer
weird
thing.
phenomenon. It's a really weird phenomenon to see it.
it is,
It's
Charlie.
necessarily-
But wait,
it's
hold on.
necessarily a
Wait,
weird
can I? Let me
phenomenon,
get a word
though.
in. Let me get a word in. Because in general, I think you're right, Rabbit Wombat, and that's why I want to be careful. Because the idea that women in general are always looking for that security and dating up because, you know what, since 1980s they couldn't hold a bank account or a credit card or whatever, or before that, that makes sense. That is something that I want to reverse. The incel adjacent rhetoric doesn't start there. It starts when you complain about that and say, I don't like that women won't settle for less, and then that kind of ends there. And you can talk about how that needs to change, but the problem is when you face those issues in real life, this is where it should start and end as a complaint. Like, oh, I've just found a woman who has unrealistic standards, whatever, gone. And that can be something you complain about. The inceldom comes when it's this repetitive rhetoric that comes up very frequently, and this is the problem, this is the problem, this is the problem, and you're not really concerned with the fact that on an individual basis, you can find plenty of women who don't do this. You will not have a problem finding them if you put work into yourself and just go out and meet people. Like, there's a smaller subset because in general, like you said, women do this, but talking about it like this societal issue that's women's fault and not, hey, I'm going to be the change I want to see. I'm going to go out and meet people who don't have these standards. I don't give a fuck if you're, 5'10" and I'm 5'7", I will still date you. This happens all the time. And by making it this problem that's like, hey, the conversation kind of stops and ends here, and this is the society's problem, and society is the reason why I can't find a girlfriend, or all these women have too high expectations. That's the inceldom rhetoric, where it's like, oh, lament and doom pill and black pill.
Yeah.
I don't give that rhetoric. I don't say that you have no hope, ladies in general, or gentlemen who is watching me, who acknowledge the problems that I see, not just in the dating market, but with women in general and with men themselves. My message to them has never been, give up, you're not going to make it.
If it was,
I've
you
never
would be an
said
incel,
that.
to be clear.
I
Rick.
have said over and over again, there are ways, even if you don't look as good as others, that you can make yourself more attractive to the opposite sex, that you can pull, right? That you can pull a woman who's beautiful, who you will love and who will love you. But we have to acknowledge that there are issues and problems that are unique to men that, yes, women not only perpetuate, but in many cases cause. And I think that
Okay, what is a unique problem to men that women cause?
I think that one of the unique problems that men have in modern dating is on dating apps, right? I think that women, it might not be their fault, right? But they are absolutely contributing to a problem where they are selecting for certain features that men just can't compete on, right? Like, men do terribly at dating apps.
Okay, but would you say that women... Hold on, this is another one of my questions then. Do you think women in society need to be more charitable to men that they're dating? Like, they should lower their standards?
Well, those are two different questions. Yes, I think they should be more charitable to men they're dating, but no, they shouldn't lower their standards.
Okay,
So
well, the charitable...
so for example, what I mean by charitable to men is, like, if you're with a guy and you like the guy and maybe he messes up sometimes, you should have some charity for him. Maybe he does something you don't like and you got to forgive him sometimes. But I think that
Okay, but this is agendered advice. But when I say, should women be lowering their standards, not like, should they care about whether or not you're taller than them, or whether or not you make more money, or whether or not you look good enough, in the way that on these dating apps, they do select for the highest degree of attractiveness.
Women would be happier if they did. There was a book called Learn to Settle for Mr. Right Now, Not Mr. Right. It was written by a woman, and she did an experiment where she looked and she asked men, what are your qualities that you're looking for in women? And they'd list 5 or 6 qualities, right? And they'd vary, pretty generic stuff. And then she asked women the same question, and they had lists 30 items long, right? And there does again, this is because women are more desirable. They're the ones who are the choosers and selectors in the dating marketplace. We get that, right? But at the same time, their standards are exceptionally high in many cases.
Do you think they're too high?
In many cases, yes. I think someone who's
In
looking
what
for
ways?
6 figures, what was it? 6
Six
inches,
pack, 6 figures, 6
feet.
inches.
Oh, 666. Yeah.
Yeah, the 666. I think that, okay, like, if you can get that, by all means, but
But I
most of
think
y'all
it's a
ain't getting
certain
that.
group of women. I think it's just like that's a very small group of women who I do believe are looking for those things. And most of the time, I don't think men are going to be attracted to those women. It's probably, I'm going to be honest, rich men who are going to be dealing with those types of women. It's not going to be like a regular schmegular guy. And I feel like I could like pick anyone out of a crowd and be like, she's probably dating down if we were to consider it. And I also think dating apps is not really a good example because if I'm being honest, if I'm on a dating app with all the choices, why wouldn't I pick the guy who's 6'6", makes over
Yeah, it's
$150,000
not
a year,
it's
and
not
like who
exactly
likes to
it's not something
travel?
you've done that's immoral. I'm not trying
Yeah,
to
but I'm just
talk
saying,
at
like
that.
just
But
it
So
he
kind of
asked for
makes
a
sense in
unique
that way.
just real quick,
thing.
he
Right,
asked for a
right. But how is
unique
this caused by
issue
women
towards
at all,
men that
even?
are caused by women,
Why
and
is
that
that
is
caused by women if it's an 80-20 split on dating apps? Men typically, I don't know if you look at generic men's dating app profiles, they're usually dog shit and they take bad photos because they don't take good photos with their friends. Very poor lighting.
Bad.
Don't put work into themselves at all. And so yeah, if you have an 80-20 split, and like Mooncake said, you're looking for someone desirable, and 9 out of 10 of these people are just like, oh wow, this is an immediate like weird photo with nothing in the bio that interests me at all. Why would you swipe right there? Like, why is that perpetuated by women if not men not putting more work into themselves to make themselves more desirable?
I mean, I also think that we're not thinking. I do think that dating apps make these things more difficult on purpose so that they keep people hooked in to keep using the app, and they want to encourage men to pay for the premiums so that they're more likely to be seen by women. But also, I think that dating apps, regardless of your gender or like who you're trying to date or whatever, dating apps are kind of dehumanizing because it's reducing people to data points. Um, and I don't think that they're good for anyone, frankly. I don't care for dating apps at all, no matter if you're getting, I don't know, a lot of clicks or not.
Well, not
I
long
mean, I
term
don't
for
think
sure,
dating
right?
apps
Like you
are.
can hook up
Yeah,
on them, but you're not going to find a long term partner. But when you
Plenty of
have
people do,
just the
to be
top
fair.
20%, well, I met my wife on Plenty of Fish, so I'll agree with you there. But
I don't
I,
think that
I
dating
think,
apps are good for most people for
yeah,
long-term relationships. Yeah,
yeah,
because even for
mm,
women, you're kind of you're sifting through a sea of like what Soy Pill said, a sea of like really weird photos, and then when you get past the weird photos, you get some decent photos, you get people with actual bios. How many of these people are like you're still thinking about your safety at the end of the day, right? And you're thinking about like when you meet up with this person, okay, like um you are taking a risk, right? When you meet up with anybody. And then like in the long term, we're, women do tend to be more selective because also like how often do these like long-term relationships end and then there's a child involved, and how what percentage of the time is it the woman who is the primary caregiver of this child after that relationship ends, right?
she should have picked better.
So yeah.
Dating apps
Okay.
is
That's
almost
actually
like
wait, real quick. That's another one of my points, Rabbit Wombat. Wick, do you think women choose bad men?
Yes, and I think men choose bad women, frankly.
Because
I
like
think that
the incel talking point is really this idea that like you look at these single women with deadbeat fathers, you look at like people that get abused, you look at all this, and it's like this idea that this is women's fault for not choosing
look,
better.
hold on. If you are man or woman on your 10th relationship where the same damn thing keeps happening to you, maybe it is your fault. Maybe it is your fault. I'm just saying.
No, I
Like,
think
if
that
you are on relationship 5 where
yeah.
someone has
Baby Daddy
treated you a
4.
certain way, right, and acted a certain way, maybe you do have to look at your selection process and think, why do I continue to select for this quality?
How do
Well, and I
you
want
how
to
do
go
you
back
know
to what
someone's
Mooncake
abusive
said.
before you date them, Wick?
How often
I
is
want
it
to go back to what Mooncake said before, though, right? Because she said, okay, sure, they're picking these men, but they're not helping enough at home. They're not providing emotional support. They're not doing all these other things. Those are the criteria that women should be looking at, right? And I think that's something when we talk about are they choosing, should they lower their standards? I don't think they should lower them. I think they should reprioritize them. And as women start becoming more self-sufficient, more consistently, they should say, I don't need a man for money, for support to be able to go back into the workforce. I need someone who was raised in a way that they know how to cook. They do their own laundry. They'll do my laundry. They'll negotiate boundaries. And as our lives change and I get busier and they get less, we'll renegotiate the split of effort at home. All these things have nothing to do with how much he's making, how tall he is. There's no 666 in any of that. And I think that's where women can be better.
You don't think that women
there
mostly
shouldn't
do
just
those
be an
things other than the salary thing? I mean, obviously
don't
there
think so.
is. I don't
honestly
know if
don't.
this is
I
a
honestly
bubble
don't.
that I'm in, but women are constantly looking for men who can cook, men who can share in the chores, men who can negotiate and split things in ways that make sense. And a lot of men can't do any of that shit. A lot of men
at what
can't even
point-
do their own laundry, which is kind of
So
unfortunate.
at what point in the relationship though, right? Because I think when you're looking at the dating app, when you're going out and you're hitting the bar and that, it's that first set of criteria is the 666, and then 6, 12, 18 months later, that's when the second
Well,
evaluation
that's when that
comes,
comes up, right? On your
or
first date, you're
potentially
not
a
like,
year
hey,
into
do
the
you do
wedding.
laundry? Can you cook? That's not usually stuff you would ask like right away, right?
Well, you
also
should
like to
probably
point
have
out
an idea
that,
of that before
like,
you start dating someone.
like
Any-
women
any
who are
man
short
said
don't
that
have an
before.
idea. Oh, go ahead, Star.
Oh no, I was just saying that any man, even when you meet these guys for the first time, any man can say that he does cook for himself. Any man can say that he does do his laundry regularly. But when it actually comes to show, when you actually learn to see whether they can, is when you've been in that long-term relationship, and then you're like, oh, is this person just having a bad month, or are they,
Yep.
or are they really just not good at this? And then the second month happens, and then the third month happens, and then before you know it, you've been with them for a whole year, and then and yeah, so it
Yeah.
like kind of
It sometimes
yeah.
doesn't even show
Anyone
up,
can hold
Star,
it
until you
apart
move
if
in
they'll live
together,
together.
which is kind of like the idea that, Wick, you say, well, they shouldn't be keeping, if you are 5 abusive relationships in a row, it's like you can't tell someone's abusive necessarily on the first date, sometimes not even until like 6 months in, when they get comfortable, they feel like they've won you over, and now that they're comfortable, they're like, hey, I've trapped you, you have commitment to me, and I can push it a little further. So that's why it's like, that's the incel rhetoric, is like, women choose bad partners, and it's like, well, there's just a lot of shitty men out there, and it's hard to
There
sift
are a
through
lot
them.
of shitty men, but we
There's
have
a
to,
very-
again,
there's a very wait,
A
wait,
lot
wait,
of
wait,
shitty
wait.
women
There's
out there
very
too, though,
important-
right?
There's
There
a
are,
very
sure.
important statistic. There's a very important statistic, right? A huge amount of domestic violence does not start until the woman is pregnant. That like a large percentage of domestic violence in relationships only begins the first time when a woman is pregnant, and that is an alarming stat, but it is the truth. So how are you supposed to tell when somebody's abusive, when the first time they're physically abusive with you is when you are at your most vulnerable, when you are pregnant?
I will say, and I completely agree with you, Star. I will say, as someone that for the majority of my life has picked bad people, there were always signs first. And what that is, I think that there are definitely people of all genders who don't have a good basis for what healthy relationships look like, and then they get trapped in cycles of abuse and don't really know how to pick out the signs. And I would
Would you say
wager
that's your
that
fault,
many.
Charlie?
Do I think it's my fault? No, it's not my fault. My parents sucked.
No bootstrap arguments for Charlie there, Soy,
No
because that's all you've
bootstraps
given from
arguments.
in.
yeah,
No,
that's
it's
Just
not.
pick
how
a
men
better,
have a problem.
Charlie.
It's not
That's
men's
true,
fault.
though.
Listen, I know men who have picked really bad, and it's because they've had a really fucked up, awful childhood. And at some point, like, it does become your fault. It became my fault when I,
Yes.
developed enough like critical thinking skills to go, my God, I am someone that has been therapized. I have people in my life who support and love me, who are pointing these things out to me. What I can do is like work on not making dumbass idiot decisions, which I have done in the past. So at some point you reach an age where it's like, okay, get it the fuck together.
But
It is
does me
2025,
saying,
there's so
and
many
Charlie,
resources out there to get your shit together.
Charlie, I'm going to ask you directly. When I say that, hey, women out there, if you're choosing men and you're on your 5th man and he's acting the same way as all the other men before him, like, you should probably look to yourself and try to find out what you are doing wrong when you're choosing men. Is that incel rhetoric to you, or incel-adjacent? Is that anywhere close?
It's getting close, but the axioms there are completely fine, right? Star, you're echoing a little bit. But yeah, the idea of like, hey, if you have seen the same pattern 5 times, you haven't changed, yeah, you can put a little blame on them. The problem is, incel rhetoric is, the epidemic of women choosing bad men, the epidemic of single mothers who chose bad men. That's the incel rhetoric. And I don't know necessarily how close you are to that, but would you consider it an epidemic of bad decision making on women's
I
parts?
don't know about epidemic's a weird word to use, but there is
Sure.
plenty of it, and it is in what we do in society though, and I see this all the time, is we coddle women about this.
Okay.
We're like, oh, it's okay, it's not your fault. We yas queen them. Yes, queen. You know, it's just those evil men. We do this
Can I
all the
ask-
time.
I'm sorry. When 20% or close to 20% of women experience domestic violence for the first time during pregnancy, how the fuck are they supposed to pick better men?
Carefully.
Yeah, more carefully than they are.
How?
Look, no one is
Yeah,
at
a
fault.
lot of them
give
are
real
young
advice.
and don't like that. Like this is
Return to arranged marriages.
And
That's the
also,
plan.
how
lot
do
of
women get coddled with domestic abuse and violence
I'm
and
not talking about
sexual
domestic
assault?
abuse
I
and
think that's
violence and sexual assault.
crazy.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about when women complain that their men are deadbeat dads, that their men are not helping around the house, when their men are just not living up to their expectations, leaving them lonely, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Not romantic enough.
Yeah, exactly. There's a ton of things, right, that they'll
But
say.
they're very good at like switching. Like sometimes I find that you'll find, especially with abuse, men will do it in very small ways. They'll start very small. Sometimes people can't tell when there was those like little changes, and then it builds up over time. And I think sometimes we have to remember that people get stuck in a situation that they're like, oh, wait, it wasn't like this 6 months ago. And unfortunately, people do that all the time. And I would say also, have you noticed when parents get divorced, a lot of the times the dads aren't around, so they start turning these women into single mothers. Oh, I'm going to see my kid once every 2 weeks. And I think that's something that we do need to discuss. And we see it so often. So it is hard to tell. Maybe they were a good husband or dad during the marriage, but after the marriage, they just stop. And we do see that.
Yeah, why don't you elaborate on the coddling then, Wick? Because I think they're making pretty good points about the abuse and how it's not like we're coddling them. If anything, it's
'Cause
like,
I
hey,
am not
maybe
saying
we
you're
don't
coddling
give
abuse.
them the tools to recognize it early enough. That's, on society as a whole. I don't think that's a problem perpetuated by women exclusively, though.
So
Access to abortion is so freaking important. And encouraging women not to get married super young and have children super young. Like, I'm sorry, I feel like this is how you get stuck with shit people. We need to encourage women to not get stuck with shit men. Abort.
Well, I
Don't
would've-
get married young.
I understand your point, Charlie, but I do think that the topic of abuse, the topic of deadbeat like dads, I don't think that really applies to any age, right? Yes, the younger women who get into these long-term relationships from a younger age are more likely to like be more naive and tolerate things, and women who are not educated and don't have a source of income are also more likely to tolerate like abusive behavior and things like that. But
Less
this can
experience.
happen to anybody at any age. And again, like the reason why I find this whole incel rhetoric thing like wildly disproportionate is because when it comes to like this like men are concerned about like dating bad women and having a bad relationship and or maybe not even dating
men are
women at all.
concerned about
Women,
finding a woman at all in many cases.
yeah, finding a woman at all, right? Whereas women are concerned, like it is your actual safety. What percentage of women, of female homicide victims in America, are a result of domestic violence? It is like something like 35%, some crazy number. 35% of female homicide victims in America are the result of domestic violence. So yeah, while men are looking for finding a woman at all, women are thinking
Sorry
about
to hear
their
that,
safety.
Benjamin.
Right, and thinking about the safety of their future offspring.
Okay, that is
Likely to kill you
my
if you're a
frustration.
woman
Hold on,
is the man closest to you.
just real quick.
Most likely to kill you is your boyfriend, your husband, your
Sure.
dad.
Just real quick,
Your
however.
wife.
Okay. My issue with this conversation is I feel like I'm saying something that is perfectly reasonable, perfectly backed up by what I would consider evidence, anecdotal as it may be. But then you guys start talking about things like, but domestic violence, but homicides in relationships. That's
we're
not what
talking
I'm
about
discussing. That's not what I'm referring to. I'm talking about something that's a lot more grounded, if you will, where most men aren't going to beat their women. They're just not. Do you disagree with that?
You can. It's.
I
I mean, it's just
I
empirically
do.
true. Like you can't.
I think it's a higher number. I think it's a higher number than we think. I think there's a decent amount of men who probably would be willing.
What's your number? What's your guess? Give us a
Honestly,
ballpark.
I think it's 50-50.
Hold on. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 men in this call. What percentage of us are going to beat our women?
I was gonna say 50%. I think it's 50.
Wait.
You think
So
50% of men do
beaters in
domestic
How many of
abuse?
us have women here? Because that could really just
Fair enough.
eliminate the.
I think,
the
but
list.
I do. Sure, I understand what you're saying, Wick. I don't know the numbers on that. What I do.
Do you think it's 50%?
It's not 50-50. Not even close.
I think so.
I think it's definitely like 1/3, probably, to be honest.
No.
30% of men.
I know too many women that have been beaten by men. I know too many women for it not to be like at least like 1/3.
It is
don't think
1
it's
in 3.
every
That's
man,
like
but I
the
do
actual
think-
stat. Like,
I
Do
do
you want to
think
know
a
how
lot
many
of you-
men I know
I
who've
do
been
think
hit
it's a
by
whole
women?
lot of you.
I
I'm
think
sure
it's
a lot
Wait.
of them. Yes.
we're
yes,
getting really
absolutely,
derailed.
Rapid
Not
combat.
to
I don't
be
wanna
not to
take
be
that away
sexist, but we're
either.
talking about women too much. I wanted to have Wick elaborate.
I know, right?
Can
Yeah,
Wick,
sure.
can you tell us what do you mean when women are coddled? Because before you elaborate, and this isn't me trying to tell you to be careful. I'm not trying to gotcha. That is the start of an incel sentence, but the way you finish it could be very not incel-y, right? It could be, hey, they have privileges here, here, and here, and we need to rectify that, instead of the incel rhetoric, which is like women have it on easy mode. So I want to know what you think about women being coddled.
I think women, here's the thing. Society doesn't take women seriously, right?
Okay.
And because they don't take them seriously, they are often coddled when they make a bad decision, when they do something wrong, when they break a law, right? If you look at conviction rates, women are far less likely to be convicted for the same crimes that men are because, again, society does not take women as seriously, right? This is a positive and a negative. And if I was a woman, I would be infuriated by this stat, right? Infuriated by the stat that no one does take me seriously in these things, that I'm not seen as a person in the same way that a man is. But
Okay.
one of the things that happens is when we getting back to the relationships and relationship dynamics, whenever there is an issue there, I'm not talking criminal, I'm not talking abusive, I'm talking just an issue between men and women in average relationships, right? Women are just not taken as seriously, and men are often given the onus of having to have done
Here's the
wong
issue,
to
Wick.
fix
Here's
things.
the
and,
issue.
do you
Okay, wait,
disagree with any of that?
Can I just
I
break
would-
this?
yeah.
The issue, Wick, is that you were talking about average relationships, and your idea of an average relationship is vastly different than what a woman's idea of an average relationship is. Right? You talk about relationship dynamics, and you think that like the domestic violence is not something that is commonly thought about by women, but it is. It is part of the relationship dynamics, and women are thinking about the risks that they potentially face in like a long-term relationship. So you can try as much as you want to say that like, oh, I'm just talking about normal relationships, but we're not even addressing the entirety of the issue if we're not talking about what women or why women act the way that they do and what the risks that they're thinking about are when it comes to these relationships. Because again, if it's 1 in 3 that
The made up number.
Not though. It's
No,
not.
I think it is 1 in
Higher.
3. Like
It's about-
actually.
Higher.
Hold on. In
It's
last year,
wait a minute,
how many men were brought up for interpersonal violence? Do you think?
I don't know how many
4%.
men there
It's
are.
4%. That's
No. But the statistic is like 1 in 3 women have faced domestic abuse, not 1 in 3 men will domestically abuse someone.
Yeah, if it's 1 in 3
I would
women have
also like to say that
okay, if 1 in 3 women have faced domestic abuse, right? Which I think that is a pretty accurate stat. I'm not saying 1/3 of men are domestic abusers, but if 1 in 3 women have faced domestic abuse, then yeah, that is a common relationship dynamic for women.
So if
like to
only
say that,
4% of men are committing domestic violence and 30% of women are being domestically assaulted.
I don't know if we can overlap the stats like that, but I see where you're
Oh.
going.
Can I make a point, please?
Well, I mean,
I heard boys will be boys growing up. I heard boys will be boys growing up so many times when boys and men would do horrible, awful things We have made it completely socially acceptable for men to abandon their children. We have made sexual misconduct a complete and total norm for men to commit. We forgive. I have grown up watching my brothers, my male friends, and my male relatives get away with horrific things that the women in my life would never, ever, ever be able to get away with.
Such as?
And
Like working in a coal mine?
no, my family members
I'm
are
I'm
not
not
coal
saying that.
miners.
To be clear, I'm not saying that that doesn't happen. I'm just thinking in my life and my anecdotes and watching women I know be able to just get away with all sorts of things that a man would not. But I understand these are anecdotal, right? And I don't put that on all women or all men or anything like that. But the problem is, and again, the problem with this whole conversation is we're supposed to be talking about men's issues, like men's
Well, no, the purpose of the
Well, I
conversation
will
is
say,
to.
Wick,
all
can I
talk about
say,
women.
let me admit a fault in myself. I give men so much more grace than I give women, and I have noted this in myself repeatedly throughout my life, that I will forgive men for so much more as friends than I will forgive women for. And this is a problem that I've seen in myself and that I don't like in myself, and it's something that I observe in a lot of people, is that they give men a lot more grace for like social inappropriateness, being a shitty person, than they do for women.
Hold on. Let me challenge this for a minute. So let's say both of us go to a bar, okay, or a
Mhm.
club, okay,
Mhm.
and both of us uh go up, and you go up to a man and you just start grabbing on him, okay, hugging him close, like dancing up on him, like feeling him up and stuff. I go up to a woman and I do the same thing to her. Which of us do you think is going to get kicked out of that club? Which of us do you think that society is going to look down on and not forgive for their actions more?
Oh, definitely you.
Exactly. So while you perhaps might give more grace to men in your life, and you're a saint for doing so, okay?
No, it's
I
bad.
think
It's
most
literally
people
misogyny.
don't.
It's misogyny, Wick. It is misogyny. I see this in
Or
myself. It's
misandry.
misogyny.
No. Charlie's saying she's misogynistic.
Oh,
I'm
that
a
part. Yeah,
misogynist.
the
I
bar
don't
one
like
is
it. I see
misandry.
it in
This one's
myself. I
misogyny.
have to do something about it. I have to. It's bad.
Okay,
I
Wick,
understand.
I want to refocus this because maybe this was supposed to be about you, not about men in general. This is about you because we all care about you, Wick. So
Well, I am the
maybe
representative
maybe
of
we can
men.
refocus this,
That is my
and
complaint as
you're
well, yeah.
more
This
than
isn't about
welcome.
masculine men. This is about you, Wick.
You're more than welcome to not want to answer this line of questioning, but I guess based on what I see, and I don't have specific examples, I do see you doomer post a lot on Twitter. Now, whether or not that has anything to do with women, who knows? Because a lot of bad shit is happening.
Baby. Almost
Politics.
entirely
So,
politics.
if you're not comfortable with answering this line of questioning, let me know. Are you single right now? And if so,
I don't talk about I don't
is
talk
there
about
like
my
a struggle
relationship
there?
stuff,
No?
right? I don't
Okay.
talk about relationship stuff, good or bad. It's
Okay.
just I've seen what happens when people make relationships
smart
part of their
move.
streaming.
Smart
It
move.
does not go well.
Mm.
Right?
There's a lot of recent examples that are floating
Yeah.
around at the moment.
So I just sorry about that.
Okay,
So,
no, totally fair. Okay, well then, I guess to refocus on the idea of like why I see this as incel-adjacent, and this was my big problem with it last week, is that you were lamenting about things that do happen, such as, like you just said, there are things that men have double standards towards. Men get treated worse. Like if you're a man at the park with a kid, you're more likely to get called like a pedophile and not like, hey, this is my fucking kid, or I'm babysitting this kid, right? They are seen as a threat. I mean, Star just showed us, and this is no like shade on you, Star. Women do treat men like a threat in most cases, and there's usually valid reasons to, but they're going to overlap that criticism onto men who are not a threat. And that is just something that we have to now deal with because of this smaller portion, as we know by the stats, of bad men. So my question is, what are you doing to try to like fix this? Or like, what are your actual prescriptions of like, how do we get men to be taken more seriously? How do we give advice to men? Because it seems to me, and my problem with you last week was, all you mostly do is just kind of yell into the void about how women have it easier in this case, or men have this problem, they're not taken seriously. And you're not really trying to like be the example of, I take men seriously and this is why we should do it, or here's my advice to men panel, or this is how I treat people in my life.
Yeah. So I think that one of the things that men don't get a lot, and I try to provide in the small way I can. I'm not a very big streamer. I don't have a lot of influence. But sometimes people just want to complain and be listened to. And I think there should be space for that. Where I'm not trying to fix them. I'm not trying to solve their problems, but I'm just trying to be like, yeah, man, women suck. Women are bad, right? And just kind of commiserate with them in that way. We need a space where we can just go, we can vent, and we don't have to be judged or
A
feel like
safe
people
space.
are. Yes, unironically in a lot of ways.
We've shifted
And
the
I
Overton window.
try
We're pro
when
safe space.
when I give hold on. When I give, right, and my takes on this, and when I kind of commiserate with my fellow dudes in chat, that's kind of what I'm doing. Is I'm saying, hey, I understand, I get it too, I see it too. Now, once you build trust with an audience, right, you can start to also integrate like solutions. But I think the first step is building a relationship of trust with your audience. And I think that one of the ways you do that is by being honest with them, forthright with them, and not trying to immediately be like, I'm only doing this so I can tell you what I want you to do, right? Because I hate that. I hate people who come up and immediately you feel like you're being sold something, like someone is selling you a thing. And I don't want to do that to
Hey,
my
man,
audience.
cool it with the anti-Semitism, okay?
That's funny. But no, that's that's why I do that, right? So when you see me screaming into the void or whatever, or just being doomer about women, yeah, I think that it's perfectly acceptable and a good thing, actually.
It's a good thing to be doomer about women. Star, you're echoing again.
Oh no, sorry.
Yeah. Do you?
Yeah,
So this is, I guess, good because now I think we've drilled down to my real problem with how you view this. I think it's never good to be doomer about women. I think it's just as harmful as these women who go into safe spaces with other women and say, all men are pigs. This is terrible. Like, I can never find a good man. All men suck. Like, I think this is perpetuating this narrative of society that is going to alter your perceptions of people, like on like initial bases and breed these kind of negative thoughts towards communities in ways that they really shouldn't. So yeah, I think commiserating that, like, hey, dating's hard because dating apps are hard, that's fine. Complaining like, oh, this girl rejected me and she was really shallow and it's harder to find a less shallow person, that's fine. Commiserating about the state of how women are in an all-male space, I think is how you get incel communities. And that's why when you talked about this sort of stuff and you were commiserating and I didn't see you offering solutions, you said, hey, like, I do think there's good red pill people like Xerxes. And then you go to your Xerxes channel.
Xerxes a good guy. He is.
I think Xerxes is not a good rhetorical person that you should send anyone to if you're trying to make them improve as men, because all he does is commiserate about how men have it bad. Women are, cheating, lying people who are vapid and they need to lower their standards. And he is an incel. He's not incel adjacent. So yeah, I think you're sending people to incel people. That's bad. Like you are doing a societal harm by doing that.
I also think that you guys should try commiserating with like lesbians and queer women a little bit, because I'm not gonna lie, I feel like you're laughing.
We're not allowed on that server though. We tried.
You would be shocked by how often when I've dated women in the past, I've commiserated over the same issues with my straight male friend.
Yeah, this is true. I had a lesbian roommate in university. This is absolutely a thing. They do it too. Yes.
Yeah, it's like it. You don't have to. It doesn't have to be a boys only club. If you want to talk about, the difficulty.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the issue though, because Soypill, you described something that's very real. If you step into a feminist space on either online or offline, whatever, but like an all-women feminist space, you're gonna have women talking about women problems, and they're real problems. But there's not this expectation in that space that at the same time they also talk about men's problems. In fact, women are often allowed to, within this women's space, to be very hyperbolic in discussing their own issues.
Yep.
So when Wick is in, let's say, a men's space, and he's talking about men's legitimate problems, and maybe he's being hyperbolic as well, it does just seem to be the same sort of thing.
Yes, and I would say both of those are bad, just to be clear. Like, I'm not pro women's only spaces where all they do is say hyperbolic rhetoric about men. Like I said, I think that's bad. It's perpetuating it. I've seen it happen in real time, perpetuate very bad narratives about men in general that are not just, hey, here's a real society problem, but like, hey, I'm about to like start treating men differently in my day-to-day life in negative ways that do not reflect how most men are.
Well, sure. And I agree with you, by the way. I agree with you. It's just that this type of safe space-ism just seems to be very prevalent right now. Like you can do it with race, go into like an all-black space where people are talking about how evil Whitey is or something. Like there's this happens a lot, and it's not good. But Wick isn't unique on this,
Sure, I don't think
Well,
he is.
I
He's just someone that is my friend that I care about, which is why when I see him doing something negative, I'm calling him out specifically. But obviously, if this was really, but to be clear, Wick, if this was like, holy shit, you can't do this, I wouldn't make this a panel. I would just talk to you in DMs and be like, hey, whoa, buddy, maybe you shouldn't be DMing this 14-year-old or whatever fucking insane thing you were doing.
Look, I understand that this is very this is very light, and you don't think that I'm like this evil person. I get that, and I'm not accusing you of that, but I am just trying to express my frustration with something that I think that is not just. I think it's a double standard, and I think it's unfair, and I do want men to have better ways to discuss these issues, but first you have to let them know that you're on their side, and this is one of the ways I let them know that I'm on their side. But let's give it to Rabbit. He has his hand up. He's very
I do,
polite.
because I'm a little polite. Sorry, I'm Canadian.
Okay.
Sorry. So 2 thoughts. One, kind of tongue in cheek. If you have 10 men talking about men's problems, you talk about men's problems. If you have 9 men and a woman talking about men's problems, you're talking about women's problems.
That's true. We are the majority on this panel, and we have talked more about women's problems. You're not wrong.
That being said, olive branch over to soy, and I think that's where I come together with him a little bit on this, is when you look at call centers, and I worked in one for a number of years, you have angry people calling in, and they're going to vent and they're going to say some things, and you don't disagree with them. You nod your head verbally a little bit along with them. You let them get it out. Usually they calm down, and then you get into productive conversation afterwards where you can get to the heart of the real problem. You can talk about real solutions and go from there. And I think what Wick is doing a lot of times is in that commiseration, he is getting through that initial part with these people, and
Sure.
he's getting to a point where once that has been vented off, that you can start talking about real problems, because I honestly think he's
Rabbit, this
women
is
as
perfect.
allies,
This is
right?
perfect. Wick, I agree if that's the way that you're building the bridge to people who want to commiserate. What are you doing to lift men up? What are your prescriptions for men? Because you called what I'm saying bootstrap, and it seems like you view that negatively. What do you actually think men should be doing to fix their societal problems?
Look at what you can do and improve it. So first of all, my advice to men, it's hard to give you a general thing because I think these things should be like tailored to the individual, because not some men just don't look as good as they should and should do some grooming, right? Some showering, some shaving, and whatever they need, right? Or some exercising. I think that's good.
To be clear,
But
the
I think
reason I know
in
you're not an
general,
incel is if you said
in
that to an
general,
incel, they'd have a bitch fit. So that's how I know for sure you're not.
in general, there's just 3 things that all men could do, I could do, everyone could do to make it a little better, a little easier on themselves, okay? First, go to the gym. Go to the gym, pump some iron, run a little bit, do something, work on yourself just a little bit that way, right? That's never going to hurt you. It's only going to provide positive benefits for you. Even if you're not looking for women or to like date or what have you, it's just gonna be better for you and more healthy.
Don't lift for them, lift for you. I always say that.
True. Second of all, I'll take your advice on the lifting stuff. Obviously, I should take my own advice more on going to the gym, but that's neither here nor there. The second thing I would advise all men to do is start talking to more people, right? Get out there more. Widen your circle of people you talk to. And that is very hard for a lot of people, especially because we've been isolated by our little cell phones and things like that, right? It's become, we have a loss of third spaces and communities and things like that, right? I remember growing up, I'd go to the bowling alley every weekend and shoot the shit, right? And those just, they're out there still, but you go there now and it's just a bunch of 60-year-olds, right? Like it's just a bunch of old folks, right, doing their thing. So again, these are very basic, very generic things. But if you want like real advice from someone, and here's a real kicker, ladies and gentlemen. Don't look for it on the internet. Go to your friends, right? Go to your family. Ask the people around you. They know you better than we do.
Okay, Rabid and Wick maybe. Is what Wick just said at all different from what I was saying in terms of what you called bootstrapping?
No, to be honest, like those are all very bootstrappy. I think they're positive. It wasn't a get good kind of thing. I think it's good advice, though, right? I think
Yeah, but do you
you
know what
have
the
to look at
difference is?
yeah, but you have to. I think an issue is that we think all the solutions for men are bootstrap and all the solutions for women are institutional. And I think the truth is somewhere in the middle. And so I don't want to completely discount the idea that there are bootstrap things you should do. Like as a man, the focus of your life should be understanding yourself and your passions, exploring those, and then you will find connection as you're doing those. Don't make the pursuit of someone
I
else
think you're.
the focus of your life.
I think. Hold
Right?
on.
That's where I agree
I
with
think
you.
you're. Oh, I think you're missing the point, Soy Pill, and let me explain.
Mhm.
Perhaps is that when I do it, right? When I give this advice, it's natural. It's something I believe, and I'm not trying to sell men on it. It's something that if a man asked me, I'd tell them this, right? But I've already done the work of commiserating with them, of building their trust, because I do believe what I'm saying, right? I do believe that they have these problems, and I'm not trying to minimize them. What a lot of men find frustrating is when people just immediately start trying to fix that stuff by it makes it feel like they're not being taken seriously, that their real problems just aren't being addressed, and that they're not being listened to, and instead they're being like, shut up, just go to the gym, shut up and go to the gym. And I don't think that's I think that like that's the main difference is
the reason that disconnect happens, Wick, is because the men that are doing this, and this isn't like a generalized thing, but this is a lot of examples that I see. This is at least anecdotal. When men say, "Oh, women have too high standards. Women are only shooting up. They only want six packs and abs and height." The people that are complaining like this are people that don't do any of these things you're talking about. They don't go to the
Not
gym. They don't
necessarily.
hold on, I'm not saying this is every single case. This is why a lot of these things get shut down, is because you see that lack of any of those things, any of that work to even raise themselves to the level that like a woman will be like, "Oh wow, you clearly put an effort and are desirable as a person," and they're still complaining while they're at the bottom. And so that's why you see this disconnect where it's like, well, you're saying, "Oh, women do this and women do this and women do this," and it's like, what have you done? You haven't even like put yourself into the sphere of like being dateable regardless of gender. Like you are a slob, you don't have a good paying job, you don't have hobbies that are relatable to these people, and it's like, okay, well, I feel bad because these people are telling me to lift myself up. Well, it's like, well, you don't do it. Like you haven't even gotten to the part where like the societal problem should even factor into it.
Here's what we're gonna do. I got some super chats, and I want to get Mooncake's takes here, and I want to get what she has to say, and I want to get everyone else kind of back into the discussion. But let me make a little money because everyone knows that's why I'm really here. $2 from Esoteric Dichotomy to say hello, Wick. Thank you for streaming. You're welcome. $5 from Schwango to say, Soy, who are you trying to kid here? Everyone who knows Wick will say he is wildly pragmatic. No incel nonsense rhetoric risk here. True. Dylan Bowser.
Wait. I want to address that guy real quick. Do you think sending people to an incel is not incel-adjacent?
Xerxes is not an incel.
Xerxes is an incel.
Xerxes' Twitter is. I'm scrolling through his Twitter right now. It's pretty bad.
Xerxes 100,000% an incel, and not he's not on trial right now. But like, you could go look at his most popular videos. It's like ridiculously like everything is about how women are the problem. That is incel.
Pill, but
Black pill is incel. Okay, if he's had sex before, sure. He's not literally the word incel. Incel rhetoric. He is incel bubble. He is an incel. Like he's a red pillar, but says it's over for you. Okay, like it's incel.
Wick, you have to understand.
Yeah, don't let the women talk over you.
You are part of the alt incel pipeline now. That's now your legacy on you.
Unironically, if you send them to Xerxes, you are like.
I mean, yeah, because I feel like reading through. If I was a man and I went to
I don't even know who
Xerxes'
this guy is,
Twitter,
actually.
I'd be like, women will never love me because I'm a hideous beast. Like that's how I'd feel scrolling through Xerxes' Twitter. It would make me.
What's this guy's
really
Twitter?
sad.
I gotta go see it.
Here, I'll link you his video. Incels Are Right, Volume 2 in the Discord while he's reading that super chat. Maybe I can read you some quotes too.
Okay, thank you for the tier 1 membership. Welcome to the stream. Audacity for $5 to say perfect convo before the Wilson debate. Some Sun Tzu tactics going on here, getting into the mindset of your enemy. True. $10 from Doobie. If you're not a traditionally attractive person, why not just accept that you won't be competitive on a dating app built for first impressions? Just find somewhere else you can go to show off your strengths. The problem with that, Doobie, is that we're less and less able as men to approach women in non-app spaces. And we've had this debate before, so I feel, right? Like, more and more and more, it's become socially unacceptable to approach women in public, right? You will get shit on more and more and more than you would have 20 years ago or even 30 years ago, right?
Okay, but Wick, you're a dork. You're a dork, Wick. Take yourself down to the LARP, to the Ren Fair, to the anime convention. I'm saying that as someone that goes to LARP, Ren Fairs, anime conventions. You get bitches. All right? Like, I'm telling you. Being a dork as a man, that's like a...
I guarantee you I could put together a panel in 5 minutes where you will have 6 women telling you that was shameful for you to suggest that I go and invade the LARP space where they are free from being hit on, right? And suggest I hit on them.
Okay, but again, so wait, hold on. This is part of my problem, though, Charlie.
People get laid at conventions all the time.
This is part of my problem. Incels will point at the backlash to what has been decades of like just totally chauvinistic men like fucking up women in public and being like, hey, sup toots, and like putting their arm and not letting them move and like saying, well, now it's socially unacceptable to hit on women. And then at the same time, they'll post videos of women complaining that like no one's hitting on them. And these are both problems where it's like men are scared to do anything because they think like any and all things could be perceived as bad. But the problem is also that there was decades. Star, please mute when you're not talking. It's like I've been echoing the entire time. Sorry. Yeah, so like men have had decades of history, and I'm not saying all men, but like a good chunk of men, and this is why there's a backlash of just doing absolutely awful things to women in public to try to hit on them and like making them feel uncomfortable. So the idea is, yeah, there are places it's okay, there are places it's not okay, but if you're not doing it because you're worried about how you'll be perceived, instead it's like, hey, I'm just going to shoot my shot, and if I'm doing it wrong, I'll figure out. That's actually a you problem. That's not a society problem. I've never let the societal expectations of what men should or shouldn't do dictate what I should do. I do it on an individual basis, and I think that's better advice to men than just saying, oh, don't go out hit on women because women will, freak out, and it's totally socially unacceptable now.
Should not hit on women. I am saying that
you're lamenting that society
more
admonishes it, right?
Right. This is my argument. I'm saying that society has made it too unacceptable to approach the opposite sex.
What do you mean? Are people going to jail for this?
Re-roll that back. We need to roll that back and once again normalize going to up to a woman in the gym or the grocery store.
No, not the gym.
Or wherever.
Not at the gym.
Absolutely not at the gym.
Okay, not at the grocery store. I got approached one to the grocery store.
Why not?
Because I'm on a fucking mission. I'm on a mission to get my groceries, and I don't want to be spoken to by any. I don't even care if they're not hitting on me. I don't want to be spoken to at the grocery store. I'm on a mission. It's loud. It's crowded. I'm scared. Leave me alone.
That depends. Actually, I got hit on the grocery store the other day, and it would have been fine, but he started rubbing my back. So him like talking to me is okay. No, I'm not even joking. I'm really not joking.
Yeah,
and he's like, "Oh, can I give you my card?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, like that's no problem." But then he started rubbing my back. So he was okay in the first half, but once he had crossed that boundary, it was like, "Oh, okay, this person's a weirdo." Like there's no coming back from that. So I think there is a way to approach in public, but it's like I don't think some men understand boundaries.
And that makes it more difficult. Problem, yes. Yeah. But you saw the reaction when I said gym or grocery store and how everyone was like riled up. Okay, that's what I'm talking about.
Person to person.
There is a way to do it where it's like where it's not super invasive. I think like I don't know. I think that
I present the meme that started this all. The way to do it.
Be hot, obviously. Yeah.
I think that if you like if you approach somebody as they're like leaving or something and you're like, hey, I saw you and I think, you're, whatever, I'm interested in you and here's my number. And if you want to give me a call, but if no pressure or whatever, I think that's okay. Like, I don't see why that's an issue, but it's not like,
I feel like
before or after the gym, right? Like the gym is a place where individuals gather community to do something, and timing is important between sets and your mindset. So on that one thing, Wick, I would say while they are actually in the gym, the good advice is to not. You can smile, not even between sets. They're looking at their watch and they're making sure that they hit their set at the next set at the right time. Right. So the other one, grocery store, yes,
As somebody somebody's leaving, I don't see an
Gym now.
issue. I've been approached as I've been leaving, and I think it's non-invasive. It's not somebody getting in your face. It's not somebody disrupting your workout, right? And they're not putting any pressure on you, and then you have the right to like decline, right?
Yep,
And you
yep.
won't feel too bad about it. So,
I think you can smile at someone or nod or something in the gym, and that's like a temperature check. That's okay, but
Well,
but
yeah, that's-
before
It's
or
called
after,
cruising in the
yeah,
gay
yeah.
community.
That's
No,
a
Wick,
weird
to be
guy.
clear, it's not about the fact that you should never hit on someone at the gym, because there's obviously acceptable ways to do this. The problem is if you prescriptively tell people this is totally acceptable, but most men are actually really bad at boundaries, now you're going to get a bunch of men who are bad at boundaries doing it wrong in a place where they go regularly, and if they make, let's say, a mooncake situation happens, yeah, but you shouldn't use women as a way to learn. You should be already telling them what you can and cannot do before you just say it's totally okay.
Unless you do it.
Because people
Wick
like
is
you
pro
and
human
me
testing,
can
you
say,
heard it here
hey, you shouldn't go up to a woman you just met and rub her back while you're trying to give her a card, right? Now this,
not.
well, you and I think that's common sense, but this guy doesn't. A lot of men are not raised to. So when you prescriptively say this to your audience, there are some subsets of those people that might go do some shit like that at a gym where they meet regularly, and now this woman is uncomfortable to go back to a spot that she considers safe,
if
right?
you are
So
listening to me, I want you to understand when I'm advocating that you feel more comfortable to approach women in public spaces, I am not advocating, and please don't do this, start rubbing their back or rubbing them at all when you have just started talking to them. Do not do that, okay? I didn't think this needed to be said, but apparently it does.
It does,
She was
unfortunately, but not
60.
because of people like you, Wick, just to be clear.
I was gonna
I
ask
think,
Mooncake, was he an older man? Because I feel
he-
like older
in his
men are really
60s.
bold. They're so
Yeah,
bold.
which threw me off even more because I'm like, maybe he's used to it. Like this is how I don't know. I find times older men are more, I don't know how to explain it. Like they have even less boundaries sometimes, where they kind of think like, oh, I can do what I
Nothing
want,
to lose.
especially when they have money.
Because they had all the HR
Yeah.
training videos. They're like, nothing says good job like a firm slap on the ass. You know, like it's just
Well,
the
like,
culture.
They have resources.
Hold
They
on a
make
second.
it easier.
yeah.
So
I
this guy was in his 60s, right?
Yeah.
The best advice I've ever given, I think, or even heard from other, like I tell people to like you should approach like women like you're approaching like a wild cat. I feel, you know, like you don't corner them, you don't, you know.
So-
You want
so
some tuna,
this-
Star? You want some tuna?
Like that. But you know what I mean.
So-
You don't corner them. You don't like touch them. You know, like you know, like you don't
Give them your business
make-
card, walk away. It's that easy.
Yeah, yeah.
Women are
basically.
wild animals. You heard it here first.
I've-
Okay, go ahead, Dev.
I just gotta ask. So this guy was 60.
I know it's
You said
misogynist, but
okay. This guy was about 60, but you said for the first half you were into it.
Well, like he was just talking. Well, okay, I should say I do like older men. Like my last guy I saw was like 42, so I don't have a problem with older men. But initially it was like fine conversation, seemed pretty nice. And then that's when like it took a step further, which I was like, oh, this is weird now. Like this is weird, and I don't know. I guess what to do in those situations. It was just really awkward.
No, I understand. Man, what's interesting is I had a similar conversation about this stuff with a bunch of right wingers, people who are all way more far right than anybody on this panel, and their solution was actually to go back to like arranged marriages, because then at least you have a family who will vet the guy. And I'm like, okay. And there were women in the call who was like, man, I wish my parents would find me a good boyfriend. And it's like, I can see the appeal, but you should do some things yourself sometimes, you know.
They just want.
That's
look,
not
I'm
how
not
it
gonna
Yeah,
do
that
this directly
sucks.
into
I don't
the-
want my parents to pick who I date. They have terrible taste.
Yeah, I wouldn't want that either.
okay, people have a lot of misconceptions on how arranged marriages are happen, right? Like, yes, your family vets this person and you meet their family and your family meets their family and then you meet them, but you still have like the end say after talking to this person for a little bit, right? It's not like, and things can still go wrong, right?
Yeah, your
but
family can't suss out whether or not their husband's going to be abusive once you get pregnant. That kind of comes up
Yeah.
later, unfortunately. So
Yep. No,
Yeah.
I've talked to several right wing women who are just like, I just wish, because I trust my parents and my family. I wish that they would vet my boyfriends for me. And it's
Well,
like,
for
man,
that
okay.
happen,
I'm
for that
trying,
to happen, like
non-fun. I'm trying. Keep hitting on Twitter,
community
women.
that
It'll work
still
eventually.
that these arranged marriages happen in is like obviously like the South Asian community. This happens quite often, but part of the reason is like you know, there's like such a like people talk about family values, like South Asians take it like next level, right? So it is quite literally you're not just marrying the person you're marrying their entire family. So it is kind of important for your family to vet their family, and then can your families gel? Is the mother-in-law going to be like a fucking pain in the ass and be out riding your ass all the time even though you work like full time, or like
Mhm.
you know things like that? And you also like is this a decent person that you can imagine like you know, living a long time with and enjoying your time with them, you know? So it's like
Well,
it's not that easy, and people have a lot of misconceptions of like what like happens with arranged marriages, and you know that things still go wrong, and people will you know start the you know they'll start the process of like, okay, this turns it's going to be a thing, and then things go along wrong along the way, and then everything's off, right, canceled,
well,
right?
well,
So yeah.
Stardust, do you
Yeah.
actually see do you see any value in this way of arranging relationships?
I think it really depends, right? Like nothing is gonna be perfect. And all honestly, like I have my own, like you know, I think that like South Asian community, like there's like a whole other thing there, like where they take family values a little bit too far. So like that's
Mhm.
another thing that like there are some pros to it, but also like you shouldn't have to like live and die and breathe for your
Okay, let's keep.
I'll just say
keep
this, that my
making Wick money.
parents cannot determine the sexual compatibility of me and my future partner, and I don't want them to be able to. So I'm glad they didn't
Yep,
arrange
I,
my
com- I
marriage.
completely I completely agree with that.
Yeah, but
$10.
there's a middle ground. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, $10 from Doobie to say, to be fair, women essentially turn into demons at some points in the pregnancy. Not excusing violence, just saying
Sounds like you're
maybe they
excusing
need some
violence.
need a non-violent exorcism or something.
Doobie's going through stuff. I just want to add on there because as a member of the Filipino community, there is something in between what you two are saying. Where for my wife in her village and community, if you had a young man who wanted to date a young lady, he would have to go meet the parents, and they would ask who his parents were, who the cousins were, not only to determine if they were related or not, but you know, if there's a reputation on that side of the family. And this isn't even for dating at this point. This is to determine if they're allowed to just start hanging out together to decide
Yeah.
if they eventually are going
Well,
to
it's that
date
strict
and
also
that,
with like
right?
within the
Yeah.
South Asian
I do
community,
wanna.
yes, because
Yeah.
you
And
have
I
to
think
like,
there's value
like
to that.
I do want to
you,
get through
there
the
is
rest of
value,
these.
yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
I
Oh,
do want to
sorry.
get through the rest
I
of
thought
these.
only
Sure.
Doobie
Okay, I
had
got
more.
no.
Stop being a racist.
I got a few. Okay, $2 from Frank Vibes to say if someone bring in Myron Gaines. No, thank you. $10 from Psychonaut to say I'm a little confused. We are talking about women getting abused, then blaming it on incels. But incels, by definition, aren't able to get into relationships.
Yeah, he's
How are the
confused.
girls
He,
able to
he,
get
he
on
I
clearly
never
is not
really-
following the conversation at all. No
Yeah,
one was
don't
blaming
follow the
incels for hitting women. They don't have women to hit.
$5 from Chernobog Rebellion to say, quote, women choosing bad men is incel talk, end quote. Then proceeds to say how an insane stat of men just harms women for hours. These talks never go anywhere. $10 from Audacity to say the bars for what is considered abuse men versus women versus what is considered abuse for women versus men aren't even on the same field. Psycho men out there, but you'd get chastised for so much as a dude.
I think
Mr.
women
Wonder.
So
actually
I don't
commit
I
more
don't think
domestic
that it's
violence than men,
okay.
to be clear. I just don't think they.
I don't think it's okay
I think
for
I
women
agree with you as well.
to hit men. I don't think it's okay at all. But I do think that we need to acknowledge that men are typically far more capable of doing a lot more damage to women. It's a lot scarier when, like, okay, for instance, my dad's 6'5", my mom's 5'2". Like if my dad could like crush her skull with his hands. My mom is like a baby animal pawing at
like a wild cat, you might say.
Not even. She is like a chihuahua.
I
Okay.
would say I agree with Soy Pill. I do think that I think that women probably on average do engage in more physical violence than men do. But yeah, the point of that is like the point of what I brought up was just purely about like the danger. Like, you know, again, it's like I think it's 6% of male homicide victims are a result of domestic violence, whereas like 34% of female homicide victims are a result of domestic violence. So they're like, these are things that people think about, right? They think about like, their mortality and stuff, and that's pretty
You keep
important.
calling it homicide.
Homicide
and
is
it
when you
makes
kill
me-
gay people.
It's
Yeah.
a homicide.
Not the side.
Homicide is something different.
I'm saying homicide.
No.
No,
No,
you're
no,
saying
we know.
homicide.
You keep
You've
saying
said it a few
homicide.
times.
Okay.
Did I really? Okay. I'll
Yeah.
just
Yes.
pronounce
It's okay. $5 from Mr. Wise Guy Plays to say, LMAO, this strong woman unironically thinks it's a bad thing to be nice to men. That's how you know someone has too many yes queens in her life. $5 from
What?
Ace.
Yeah, like
Who's
which one?
that?
Which
I don't
person
know
is
who
saying
that
that?
is.
You have to be more specific. There's a lot of yes.
Yeah, there's a
queens.
lot of yes queens on
Well,
this.
I came on here just to be clear. I came on here to derail and just be like, just kind of
Vocal
yeah.
women.
yeah.
$5
So
from Ace to say panel should use these male violence statistics in arguments with black people instead of men. Let's see if they have moral
Oh, yeah.
and
That's the
logical
classic one. It's
sensitivity.
like you're like, oh, here's this problem with men, and they're like, what kind of men?
Yeah, I don't always, but my favorite is how does that break down by race, and then the conversation derails.
I mean,
$5.
the thing is, like, whether it's by race or not, like, we can look at the stats of men in general. If you look at any country, regardless of race, men commit a vast majority of violent crime. So
You're
Who
also more
commits-
likely to be
which type
abused
of
by
men commit
men
the
of
vast
your
majority
race.
of male crime?
You are literally like, if as a white woman, white men are my main predator. Stars would be South Asian men. Mooncakes would be black men. You are most in danger by men who belong to your race or ethnicity.
That's why
or culture.
we should normalize being an equal opportunity predator. That's what I say.
True.
Right.
Wait,
you're right.
are all three of you admitting that you date along racial lines intentionally?
No, just statistically.
I don't.
No,
Yeah.
I like the entire rainbow.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
$5.
don't
yeah.
date white dudes.
$5 from Bass FC from Xerxes
Hey.
to say, hold on, I'm not an incel.
Mhm.
LMAO, incels would never accept me for obvious reasons. Winky face.
He just agrees with almost everything they do, but I'm sure I think he does have sex. So by definition is not the incel, but that word colloquially means the rhetoric. Sorry, buddy. You're kind of an incel.
$5 from Shenandoah to say, this panel is simple. Wick is a MGTOW, Soy Pill is a white knight, Dev is a wife guy, Charlie is a man, and Mooncake is my feeder.
why am I excluded? What the fuck?
I don't know.
Maybe you weren't here.
$5
You were here at the
Yes.
start.
Yeah.
I am
$5
definitely a wife guy, though.
Yeah.
Did you guys hear about that?
that
The
you
whole
got
wife
married?
guy thing. No. The wife guy drama on the right, like a couple months ago. You
What's
guys
the
hear about that
wife
shit?
guy drama?
So right wingers were getting into this right wing civil war over the people who just wanted, like, they voted Trump because they just wanted things to go back to normal, whatever normal is. They just want to get married and have a house and have kids and drive around in a minivan and have like a very normal life. And then you had other right wingers who were saying these wife guys are cucks because they don't have the stones to actually be revolutionaries against the system. And so there was this infighting happening on the right for a while over wife guys. It's pretty fun.
I'll have to look into that. Did you do a video on it that I can watch?
I did actually, yes.
I'll have to go.
Oh,
check
real
that
quick,
out.
Wick, just to clarify also on Xerxes' super chat, everything that I brought up is like, what would you say to this? Every answer Xerxes would give would be the incel answer, and you didn't do that, so.
His next super chat will answer that. Says for $5 to say, that's not fair. I've never said it was over. What I've said was that it's hard. LL, we're playing Elden Ring right now. LOL. I don't know the Elden Ring bit, but okay.
I don't either.
$2
Okay, maybe he's not fully doomer pilled. He just says women choose bad men. Fitness is the only way for men to improve. We need to listen to incels more. Pearl Davis is one of the few women in the online space who says positive things about men. Like, okay, sorry, buddy.
$2 from Ace to say hot girl thanks to give advice to an uggo dude. LOL. Which one of us is an uggo dude? Jesus.
I mean, me. Yes, I don't show my face.
Oh,
Excuse me,
damn.
like, wow.
Oh. $10 from Doobie to say you can literally go on a website like Meetup and find dozens of events in your area where people like you are trying to meet friends, potential partners, go bowling, hang out at a bar, etc. Perhaps, Doobie, but you can't deny that there are just less of those things happening than there were 20 years ago, right? It's just not the same. There are less people attending those things. There are less people looking to host these things. It's just less than there was before. $2 from Ace to say Wick needs to build wealth if he wants a girl for real. I don't want to
Ooh.
get a girl with my money. Let's say that. $5 from Audacity to say every time Sawyer or Charlie talk, my newborn starts crying. When Wick or Rabbit talk, she smiles. I think I found my scoring metric here. Okay, and then $5 from Lithium to say women also commit paternity fraud and get away with it.
Okay.
I
So
mean,
like they lie about who the dad is?
we have ways to determine
Doing the cuck
that
thing.
now.
Yeah. We do. Well, how do you like? Would you say it's incel rhetoric for a man to advocate for mandatory paternity testing?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, that's the
think
idea
that's
is that like, oh,
crazy.
women aren't trustworthy and we have to like check all of them. Even our wives could be lying to us. That's pretty incel, yeah.
What do you think if someone said that you're not allowed to put a name on the birth certificate without either the man signing off on it or there being a DNA test on it?
That sounds radical and extreme. I wouldn't agree with it. Why?
But why? Why not? Why not?
Why can't you just name your child without like a whole scientific procedure to ensure that the
that's
name.
the man
The
can
father's
say
name, the
put
father's
my
name.
name down, but you shouldn't be able to put a man's name on the birth certificate either without their consent or without a test that proves that it's them.
what legal consequences does it have if like
Well, I'll
I
give you
think
an
I think
example
if you
of
want to
my
do a
child
paternity test to get out of child support, I think that's totally fine. If every single birth has to have a paternity test or else the birth certificate isn't legitimate, it seems kind of insane.
Oh, you can have a legitimate birth
hold on here.
certificate with one name on
Dev,
it.
go ahead, Dev.
Yeah,
Give it.
I'll
Give it.
explain really quick. So on a birth certificate, it says on a birth certificate you have who the state identifies as the parents
Yeah, I'm
specifically
aware,
for
yeah.
legal reasons. Yeah. So I guess the idea is if so a woman has a child, and in some locations she can unilaterally put down whatever man she wants if the man's not present on the birth certificate, which to me that sounds fucking crazy. It should be either by the man's consent or with a DNA test.
Okay, yeah, if the
I
man's
agree.
not
Yeah.
there, I guess, yeah, if you could just put anyone's name down, I could see that being exploited, and that shouldn't be the case. But if anything, I think it should just be easy to prove the fraud and the man's not consenting to it, not like, oh, the man has to sign it at some point, not, oh, we have to have a paternity test before you're even allowed to put the man's, that's like, seems a little egregious, but I get the sentiment.
That process takes years, and you have to pay child support in that time frame.
No. Just saying they have to be signed,
and you
is what I'm
don't get
saying.
the money back at that point, right? And this whole conversation, like your initial reaction to it was that it's overblown, incel-y, anti-women.
Right, yes, yeah. If you
rhetoric,
wait, I'm not backing off from this.
Seconds,
one sec, Rabbit.
It's a valid concern.
Rabbit, if the idea is if a woman can just write any guy's name down without his presence and then force him to pay child support, I never said that paternal like fraud or child support fraud is bad. I'm saying that it's incel-y to say every single birth certificate needs to be checked. Every single child needs to be paternity tested because otherwise every single woman will do this when this is a very rare thing. And if we want to stop it from happening because it is bad, I think you can also just do this by saying, hey, a birth certificate isn't valid unless the guy has signed it. If it doesn't have his legal signature on it, just because she put the name doesn't mean it's valid yet. That's completely like 10 steps away from paternity testing every single child.
Why is it incel-y though? You can say
the
that
incel-y part
it's
is this
too
idea.
Much,
the
but
incel,
it's not incel-y.
The incel-y rhetoric is every single child needs to be paternity tested because women are these lying, conniving, money-grabbing whores who just want this. But that is the incel-y rhetoric that you see in these incel-y spaces, right? So you can remove it if you completely go out of context and say, hey, shouldn't every single case of child support be backed up by evidence? That's not really an incel-y statement out of context. The problem is the people that bring this up are the people that paint the narrative of, oh, it's because women are going to lie and we have to fact check every single woman, which is the incel-y rhetoric.
Okay, but did either one of us do that? Because you
No, I just said it sounded incel-y, but neither of you are incels, so.
All right, well, it sounded.
But hold on. The whole reason we're having this conversation is because you've accused me of saying things that I think are just true. Right?
Would you bring this up just out of the blue as a societal problem, paternity testing and all children?
Not out of the blue. Why would I?
I just mean, like, do you think this is a thing that like is a epidemic of women lying about fathers and they're scamming men, and we need to fix this? Because that I would say is incel-adjacent rhetoric. Yeah.
No, of course not. But you're missing my point here of saying that the reason why I think it's germane that Rabid brings this up as a point and then points out your reaction to it is because the whole panel is because I was saying what I consider just clearly true things about the world. You called it incel-adjacent, and
Yep.
now we're here, right?
Okay, so this is what I'm
Rabbit
saying.
here, Rabbit, just real
This
quick.
is an incel-adjacent talking
Hold on,
point.
hold on.
Rabbit validated it as you could say this without being incel. I agreed. And I'm asking you, if you're bringing this up for any other reason other than we're already talking about birth certificates and not, hey guys, don't you think it's a huge deal that women lie on this all the time, which is a thing that happens, but absolutely not a huge deal and absolutely not that prevalent, then yeah, that's kind of incel rhetoric where you have this narrative of women being these lying, conniving people already in your head. That's why it's incel-adjacent, not because out of context it is a thing that happens.
Lying, conniving bitches. Okay, just call them what they are.
Okay, but we didn't, and you still went to incel. How
'Cause
are
you brought it up.
supposed to
A lot of
how
the
we're
men who
having the
talk about
conversation,
this
like you
stuff
said.
are like a lot of the men who bring up the paternity test stuff do so to imply that women are mega whores and you should never trust your dumb bitch whore wife because she probably spread her legs for some dude. You know, like
For
it's
Wick.
just like for Wick.
For Wick.
Okay, but
like again, like
is the problem
I've
with me?
never heard paternity tests come up ever. Is in the context of a guy being like, women are whores.
Yeah, it's
You
like,
know?
why are you
But
bringing
is
it
me
up as a
trying to
societal
have
problem,
a
Rabbit?
legitimate conversation and you thinking it's an incel talking point immediately and having that reaction, is that an issue with me or is that an issue with you?
No, Rabbit, it's an issue with the way that these things are brought up, right? So we're bringing this up in a incel-adjacent conversation. Now, if you were to say, hey, I had this problem, my wife or my ex-girlfriend or whatever is committing paternity fraud, no one would say, oh, this is inceldom. But then your prescriptive claim is, we need to be checking every single woman with these paternity tests. That's kind of incel-y, and bringing it up as a societal problem when it's really not that big of a deal. It's a big deal in these cases individually, but this is not like a, hey, I have to platform this as my like politician, you know, running a platform because this is like such a huge thing that we need to fix when it's not that prevalent. That's why it's incel-y, because
It's
you
important
only
to
think
men
it's
that
prevalent.
it happens to, though.
It's
Yeah,
it's
this-
very
like,
important to
this is-
those people,
hold
but
on.
it's hold on, no wait,
We
let me finish. I
acknowledge-
have to wait, let me just finish.
Finish your
It is
point.
prevalent to the people that it happens to. It is not a widespread thing that happens all the time in society. So if you bring it up as a societal problem, the reason it's incel-y is like, why do you think that this is such a common thing? Why are you painting women as these untrustworthy people and not, hey, this happened to me or this happened to my friend? That's why it's different.
Okay, so this is a good illustration of something that frustrates me in these conversations, because if a woman had brought up an incident or things that don't happen to them very often, it's pretty rare, but they're still really bad when they do, and then they advocated for a societal fix to this to say, okay, well, it's not going to be too much of a burden on men to have to do this thing, right? In these certain instances, we've been like, okay, that's a fair thing to ask.
Like, can you give an example of that though?
But when I or a rabbit here are like, you know what, this is a problem. It doesn't happen tons of times, but it happens enough that maybe one of the solutions we should look at is mandatory paternal testing. Not because we think that all our women are whores or whatever, but it is just the truth that some people are bad actors. Some women are going to do this, and it's just like a safety measure for people. Because
right.
Yeah.
So again,
Well, and
first
to
of all,
be
the
clear,
solution is
it
ridiculous.
was
It's like
to add
means
someone's
testing
name
welfare.
to a birth
Somebody in
certificate
my
without their
chat
consent.
Somebody in my
Well, yeah,
chat
I mean,
says we're confusing
fair.
MRAs with
Yeah,
incels,
exactly.
which
It's
I think
fair.
is a fair point.
There's a huge overlap.
But most of
Men's
the
rights
most fathers
advocates.
are
MRA is
present
men
at the
rights
birth of their
advocates.
children. I don't know what the statistics are, but I don't think that most children born are only the most of the times the father is present. I don't know what the stats are. Do
Yeah.
most children
Well,
come
the
to
women
this
are
world
always
without
present.
fathers?
I don't know why we even need child support laws
Thank you.
because there's no issue with male fathers.
Okay, so Wick, I need you to answer the question, which is, what is an example of a woman bringing up a very minor thing that's not a big societal thing, and everyone treating it like it is, and not dismissing them? Because you know what? Show me that, I will dismiss them and say, hey, this sucks on your individual level. This is not a widespread thing.
So
No, don't dismiss them.
I will dismiss them. Women complain too much.
Based.
men complain too much too. But here's the thing. I think that, well, child support laws are a pretty good one. right?
That
We
is
have
a
very
real
strict
problem.
child support law. Okay, hold on. Do you think most men leave their wives?
No.
And
This is
abandon
a
their
widespread
kids?
problem for men in that child court is disproportionately sexist to men. They view men as, like bad caretakers. They view them as untrustworthy, and they will not give them custody in cases where they deserve custody. They will charge them and like make them pay child support when they shouldn't be in cases where they should actually be the ones who's taking care of the kid. This is a real thing that I think you should be advocating for, and that's not like an incel thing because it is a widespread thing, because lots of people deals with it, and it's not painting women as untrustworthy. It's showing that courts are very biased against men, which is a very valid thing to talk about.
But I would look into that stat a little bit more as well, Soy Pill, because there are stats to show that in a lot of the vast majority of cases when there is a divorce, most men don't even seek custody. They just
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
I've seen that too. I've seen that too.
My
Yeah.
dad got custody of me pretty easy, and my mom was paying
Yeah,
child
and in
support.
cases where men do seek not custody, where in cases where men do seek custody, they get it either full or partial, like 50% of the time. So
Well, I'd say probably because in the situations where men are going to fight the stereotype that a child needs their mother more than their father in their daily life, they're probably fighting for custody because there's some egregious action happening, and that's going to make them a better candidate for the court to give them custody than the mother.
Or they love their kids.
That is very
Or they
true.
love their kid,
Sometimes
yeah. But also,
typically men get
like, what-
custody when the mother is like very
But also, like,
unwell.
why do so many men just like completely not, not even want custody, right? So
Because the child needs their mother.
Because they don't want to babysit their kids.
I was told my
Look,
entire life a
men can
child
lactate
needs
too.
their mother.
Children need both of
men
their
should
parents
lactate
in
too.
actual
They do.
lives.
Men should lactate too. Men should
Yeah.
lactate. Too.
I'm just gonna be
Shame
honest.
on
I'm just gonna be
breastfeeding.
honest with you guys. I haven't heard yet why my rhetoric is incel adjacent. I haven't been convinced. Do we
Wick
have
W.
stronger evidence?
Well, I can probably lace. I don't think it is, but I can give you an argument, I guess. But
If you
I don't
want.
think it is personally. I mean, and this is actually more to you, Rabid Wombat, because you were asking, well, how is this incel? How is this incel to Soy Pill a few times, and I just kind of put it like this, right? When you hear, let's say you come across somebody, you have no idea who they are, but they're talking about surplus value and the means of production, they're probably a Marxist. Probably. Not always, but probably. If you see someone talking about the Jews or did they really kill 6 million, they're probably a Nazi. Not always, but probably, right? If you come across somebody who's talking about cucking and paternity tests, they're probably an incel. Not always, but probably.
Okay, but part of the problem, and I agree, is that if you called me a men's rights advocate, as opposed to the women on this panel who are women's rights advocates, there is a completely different approach to me than there would be to them, right?
I
Just
think
the
that that's
concept of
because
advocating for men puts you into that biased negative stereotype. And I think there's some value to that. I think it's a little earned. I'll give you that. But there needs to be some room for that conversation to happen with good actors. Wick is one of them.
I agree, but I also think that the difference is that women didn't have the same rights as men for a long time, so I think that the context is going to be different just because of the history behind it. And also, I would say that the majority of issues that men face systematically are a result of patriarchy. And I think it's good for men and women and anyone of any other gender to work together
What's the
to,
patriarchy?
I would say, a system in which men hold power.
Which men?
Well, it depends
Like what
on country to
percentage
country,
of men?
but the wealthiest men typically. Um,
Like
Do you
I would
think we
agree that
live?
men and women are both victims of patriarchy, and it's the bulk of men and the bulk of women that are victims.
Do you
We
think
should
we
be
live
partners in
currently
defeating it.
today in a patriarchy?
um, Before Roe v. Wade was overturned, I would have said no, but we're sliding back quickly because access to abortion and birth control is like essentially the only way for women to be able to uh compete in the marketplace in the same way that men are.
This is good
And so I
practice,
think
Wick. We
that-
should debate what the meaning of patriarchy is for 2 hours. That's what you and
God.
Andrew
Oh
are
yeah,
going to
because
do.
you're gonna get stuck. Yeah, you're gonna be stuck doing that. So I do think before 2022, I would have said no. I think we have, in many ways, pretty much evened out equally. But now I think we are back to square one.
Hey, men can't get abortions either, and I think that's
We're
discrimination.
definitely not back to square one. We're definitely back to square one.
Men do
Like
get
I
abortions.
feel like I don't know. I'm stressed
Hey.
out about it. I don't like it.
I do think that oh fuck, I forgot what I was gonna say. Never mind.
One
It's
moment.
okay.
Rip.
$2 from Cersei to say, put me in after address these claims. We'll open it up later. Don't worry. I got time to kill tonight, right? So we might do that.
I'm going to open my panel up to advice for men if anyone in the chat has questions after this. And Cersei, you're more than welcome to join, and we can talk about how you're not an incel, maybe.
I do remember what I was going to say now is I don't think it really matters if we call it like a patriarchy or not, right? I think the point is that for like the vast majority of history, like these terms like patriarchy, it doesn't matter, right? We can agree that like for the vast majority of history, a disproportionate amount, well, most women and most men, right? Vast majority of women and most men as well, were oppressed by people who generally like had more power than them, right? And the people who held that power were in general men, right? So yeah,
What
Okay.
kind of men?
Married
yeah,
men.
rich dude.
$5 from Pebblekeeper to say, I don't believe that anyone on this panel screws. Really, Pebblekeeper? Not a single one of us?
Is
I
it
mean-
the picture?
Screws? TC's like
I have a
hashtag.
girlfriend.
I don't screw. I make love.
I have a child. I have
I don't know
evidence
what
of
a-
at least
This
having
person-
sex
this
once.
person is right. It is completely sealed up. It is like there's nothing there now. It's sealed.
$10 from Alexander Rin to say, how do you stop the state from taking your genetics and using them for other purposes?
That's true.
What the-
I feel like the
How is that
conspiracy.
related?
No. It's because he's like the paternity test thing. If it's mandatory, he'd be more worried about the state using your genetics than he would be about women lying about the paternity test. And you know what? I honestly think that's a valid concern. That's
I mean,
more of a
if
valid
your third
concern.
cousin, if your
Only-
third cousin did 23andMe, it's out there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
pretty much.
I don't
You're
know.
stuck.
Like
The
people
state
are
has
giving up
it.
their.
Yep.
keep giving up
Listen,
their-
chat. Just give Trump your cum. Do it right now.
I'm sending it to him.
Do
in the
not
mail.
come.
Do not
Do
come.
not come.
Do not come.
Okay, I just want to say
They're not
to
sending their
women-
best.
to the few women that are in this chat, okay? And I'm about to okay?
All
No
three of
offense,
them.
Wick, but to the few women that are in this in these
All three of them, and they're all on the panel. But
three
go
of
ahead.
them. You should not date men with high body counts because their penises
True.
worn down and they
Ew.
become cone shaped from all the shit chafing. So
Mhm,
you should really be.
They get all squished. Yeah.
Worn out. Men are worn out.
It's like literally a cone. It's like
Mhm.
it's horrifying. It's
And it
terrible.
comes out like cottage cheese. It's
And
just
they're
really
incapable of
very
pair
insulting.
bonding after two partners. The men are just
They
used
are.
up. Yeah.
I actually stand on that. We should shame men with high body counts. It's actually kind
I
of
agree with
disgusting.
that. I actually do agree with you on that mooncake because I think actually in reality, like it is
What's
harder
a high
for
body
men
count for a man?
in general, it is harder for men to get laid than women, right? And if a man has a very high body count, that probably means that he's
Okay. What's a high body
This is the
count?
same conversation we were having in
more than
private
12.
Stardust.
let me finish.
More
Let me
than
finish.
12.
And men it's harder for men to get laid, and that means that they have a high body count. I don't know what a high I don't know if I would say 12, but yeah, I understand
12?
Mooncake's point. If they have a
At what
high body
age?
count, it is more likely that they are not practicing any discretion in the people that they're
Yeah.
sleeping with, and they are not practicing any they're not practicing the ideas of commitment. Why the fuck would they stay committed to me if they have a habit of just
Okay.
sleeping around with whoever they want to and practicing no discretion?
Okay, but 12
Mm.
isn't high, especially if you're like 30. That's not-
What is high?
that's not
What's high, Stardust? What's high?
I
I
don't
think we're just-
I say like 50 is high. That's like a high
50
body
is
count.
high, right?
Yeah,
But
if you're
I
like
think-
Really
30
high,
and you
holy
flip
cow.
like 50 people, I'm like,
It's gonna
whoa.
be subjective to each person. I think it's going to be subjective to each.
What if you had one orgy and then got
Right.
married? Like that's
One
What
orgy.
if-
just
it was
one
an
orgy.
50
gonna have-
people. It hit all
but
of them.
what if
You go to
we
AL's
decided to
birthday
take
party? What
everyone's
went on? Right?
What if we took everyone's advice and decided not to get married until we were 30, but we didn't decide to be nuns until then, and we just decided to have some casual encounters once a month for 10 years? You're at 100.
Once a
Yeah,
month
but
for
how
10
much
years is a lot.
How much discretion are you practicing there,
Yeah.
right? Like
I'm at least once a month. I'm being discreet.
Yeah, he's vetting them for 3 weeks and fucking them on the 4th, and then
No, it's
I-
gross.
wait,
Like,
hold
how
on.
often are you getting tested?
This seems like moralizing sex.
You lack like
I'm here for
self-control.
it.
I think it's
Yeah,
just like they should
self-control.
be shamed. It's like I don't know. If you can't control
Shame
yourself,
the
Respect.
whores.
look, all I'm
And I
saying
haven't met,
is,
like
without
sex
knowing
addicts
everyone's
before
body
that are-
count
that
on
are
this
really-
panel, we shouldn't shame body counts.
Oh, look,
No,
I'm
no,
here
no,
for it. As
no.
the pseudo-conservative, I am here for the
Let's
shame
reveal
the
the
whores
hold on.
rhetoric.
I
Go
think
ahead.
12 is actually a pretty good number. I
Yeah,
agree with
12 is a good
you.
number.
12
I think
solid for
It's
men.
pretty normal.
I think my point is that I actually think I don't know if
Well, no,
shaming.
Mooncake says anyone over 12, right?
Yeah, anyone over 12.
Anyone
That's
over
just-
12, yeah.
Maybe
That's
not
the
shaming,
limit.
but you should be highly suspicious of men, and you should vet them very, very heavily if they have a high body
Yeah.
count. Because
So-
it could be the case that they're just magnetically charismatic, or it could be that they have no fucking discretion. They don't practice any self control, and they will literally sleep with anything. And why the fuck would they stay committed
And
to
they'll
it?
never
to
be
you? And they can
satisfied.
sleep with anything
They'll
that
never be
moves.
satisfied.
You're literally describing a 30-year-old that had one partner a year since they were 18, and you're calling them some fire hose dick whore.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem
Like
fair.
when I think about high body count, I knew
don't know
a
12
man that was a
is
sex addict that would sleep with like he slept with like 8 people in a weekend once. That
Jesus.
to me is like living
Yeah,
a life
I
like
know
that,
some like triple digit people, and that's where it's like,
where it's
holy
like
shit.
that's
Like,
kind of crazy.
Yeah.
I think it's different for gay people though. I know a lot of gay people with crazy
Why?
high body counts, but it's
Wait,
different in the gay
why, though?
community.
if anything,
Why?
based on the
Because they're-
80s,
okay,
it's the
listen,
opposite.
Listen to me. Listen to me. Listen to me.
Men work with men, and women are the
Men
same.
have very, very, very high libidos typically, and have less discretion, and there's less of an issue with like you might kill each other. Like straight women typically sleep with men less because the dude could probably kill you, you know? But if you're 2 dudes and all the dudes want to fuck and it's normal and there's a pretty much equal strength thing going on, I think it makes sense that you fuck like crazy.
But-
Like I have very very rarely been like when I've slept with women, I have rarely been like, should I do this? Is this dangerous for me? Blah blah blah. I just go for it. With men, I'm like, I don't know about this
I
one. I
just-
don't want to die.
I
just
never
feel
thought of putting whoring into weight
I think
classes,
there's
but now
this-
you've intrigued me.
I mean it. I mean it. Like,
I don't know.
So-
I don't know if I necessarily agree on that aspect. I think that it just when it comes to different demographics, obviously men working with men, they're going to have more sex, right? Like men want sex more often. They're going to have sex
Mhm.
more often because they're all
I
men
mean,
working.
No, I've never met a woman who enthusiastically engages in sex, to be clear.
No, no. That's not what I'm saying. You're being okay.
I know,
what
I'm just being
saying is-
stupid.
You're being okay. So what I'm saying is like you should be suspicious, right? If a dude
Yeah.
practice 12 is not a number that I would choose. I think that what Charlie is saying, like 8 people in a week, is like is gross to me. But
a
Yeah.
weekend.
Well,
A
I'm not
weekend.
considering-
2 days.
Weekends, yeah.
It's like, if I don't know if you guys have heard of like human papillomavirus. It's usually a virus that men carry, and they'll give it to women, but women get cervical cancer, so they get a lot of cancers from those things. So when I talk about men sleeping around, it's actually just a danger to women itself.
is.
Just talk about like heterosexual relationships.
Get the vaccine,
right?
get vaccinated. Gardasil
so-
9.
Sometimes
Okay.
it's
How
carrying
many
that.
women?
I got
Like how many married women think that their husbands are being like faithful to them and like on the low, like their husband is like going and seeing prostitutes and stuff. Like yeah, it happens quite often.
Don't date married
Actually, wait,
men.
I got a question for Soipo real quick. So you talk about the orgy, okay? Let's say you have there's an orgy of 50 people,
Okay.
but of the 50 people in the orgy, you only have sex with say 10 of them. Is your body count now 10 or 50?
10. Just because you
10?
watched
Okay.
40 people have sex doesn't mean you didn't.
wait.
You
If we're
fucked all of
counting
them.
watching people have sex as body count.
No, we're not, is the point.
Then
Okay,
we're all in the
then-
thousands,
then-
probably. We're all in the thousands.
Okay.
Yeah, my
let's-
ancestors
horse.
smile down upon me knowing the amount of boobs I've seen, to be honest.
True. Let's keep making me a little more money. Okay. $5 from Ace to say an entire stream without Soy Pill making Tolly lick his boots to prove how loyal she is. Downvoted. Stream is backsliding. Step up the hate, bros. She's
my
on
God.
vacation.
You
Otherwise, I guarantee that would probably come to be the
That is
top.
lesbian abuse, Soy Pill. I can't believe
Hey,
that.
look, I
that's
learned it
crazy.
from watching them.
Okay, $2
God.
from Lithium.
You can't say that. What the
Statistic
fuck?
isn't that statistic isn't accurate, by the way, because I'm pretty sure that
That's
study
pretty based.
applies to like even relationships that they had before they came out.
I think the statistic of lesbian
I think it
abuse
does
has
too,
more to
actually,
do with
yes.
the fact that lesbians are more likely to report abuse. So
That is also true, but
That is
again, it
also
could
true,
also include heterosexual relationships
Yeah, before they decided
that
they're
they had in
lesbian.
the
Yeah.
past.
mhm.
Yeah,
That's
sure
just
about
Soy
that.
Well,
saying
it
women
came out.
complain more.
And
But
women
in my-
complain more. True.
Somebody in my chat asked a question. They said, "What if you just put a dick in your mouth at the orgy for a second, for like a single second?"
That counts as one body.
Here,
That's one.
I'll say this: if you
I think
put
so. I think
wait,
you
wait,
have to
Star,
have
Star,
the dick in there
Star.
for a lot longer.
if you put
No,
50,
if
if
you
you
put
asked
it
your
on the
girlfriend, if you asked your
no,
girlfriend or boyfriend, hey, like, what's your body count? And they said 2, and then they said, but I put 50 dicks in my mouth for 1 second at a time each. Would that not feel like that was a kind of a burying the lead?
yeah, it was a lie. That's
Yeah,
a lie.
okay.
You're-
Burying something.
Yeah, burying the dick in
$2.
the mouth, of course.
If
Yeah,
it's 1 second, it counts. Okay?
I think that counts.
$2 from Lithium to say paternity fraud also hurts the children. True. $5 from Mr. Wise Guy Plays to say the Soy Pill thinks it's not a big deal whether a guy is going to have to spend the next 18 years of his life paying child support. He's delusional.
That's not what I said.
No
To be
one
clear,
said
I
that.
do think it's a big deal when people commit paternity fraud. It is unfair, it is unjust, and the court is more likely to let women get away with it when they do it. The thing I'm saying is that this does not happen very frequently, and I don't think we need a societal-wide solution of paternity testing every child, because I think doing that is indicative of a ideology that women are these like lying, conniving people, when this does happen, but it does not happen that often. It's still a problem.
Okay.
And to be fair, that was not the argument that was made. The argument that was made was that you either need the man to consensually sign it, or if you want to put the name on there without consent, you would need to back it up with a
Sure,
paternity
and I
test.
agree. I think you should back it up with a signature. If the man doesn't want to be on the thing, he doesn't need a whole genetic test to say, "Hey, that's not my signature." You know, just take it to court. It should take not a lot of time.
Yeah, I don't think he should
Hold
be
on, just
compelled to
real quick.
provide a genetic
Should I didn't say.
Okay, in the chat, someone just said 1/3 isn't a lot to Soy Pill. So I've gone into this myself on my channel, and there is a stat floating around that says that 30% of men are raising kids that aren't theirs. However,
Against their will?
people in like the MRA community or whatever, they miscite that stat all the time, because what it actually is 30% of men who have had a paternity test are raising kids that are not theirs. And if you're getting a paternity test, you already think that maybe she's cheated on you, so it's gonna be more selecting in that direction. It's actually much less than 30%.
Great pivot, Dev, Wick. I don't know if you can find a way to shoehorn this in, but did you know that Andrew Wilson's wife has like 3 kids from 2 different marriages before marrying him? And like, I think that is
3 baby daddies.
it's so many.
I'm not going to bring up people's families in a Christian.
I think it's hilarious. Not because I think there's anything wrong with that.
Wait,
I
who's
think
this?
is Andrew Wilson. His wife has like a bunch of
Big Papa
kids out of.
Fascist, eh?
Yeah. So it's like, I think that's fine, but his entire ideology would paint him as a beta male cuck for doing that. So I think it's funny that he is in a marriage where that happened.
Yeah, I find that distasteful. To use as a debate tactic, but
Hmm.
$10.
Fair enough.
Alexander Rin. If you want private testing, who pays for it? How do you stop companies from jacking up their prices now that it's mandatory?
Universal
$5
testing.
$5
We have
for
universal
Chernobog.
healthcare here.
Rebellion, to say the assumption that men are more violent than women and men have to act accordingly to not put out bad vibes. Soy Pill. Y'all talked about that earlier. This was all in caps, but yeah.
That's empirically true. Men are more violent than women, or at least cause more damage. Like, I don't know what you want.
Zephyr Hash for $5 to say, for your info, rates of cheating in France are so high that paternal testing is banned there. So it can and has.
Don't
Yeah,
have-
but that's
don't
France,
tell.
man.
That's
There's a lot
France.
going on there.
Yeah, they every time they breathe, they're fucking a different maid or something. Like, it's not really a comparable situation.
Like cheating is like the thing to do there, evidently. Like, I don't know.
Why is it banned though? Like that, it would
destroy it.
think that
It's
would
like
make
the reason they don't release the Epstein files. The entire government would just fall apart once everyone knew.
Yeah, it's don't ask, don't tell for cheating.
$5 from Ace to say, if you come across someone that is okay with PDF files on their Discord, They're probably a PDF file. Nice logic, Dev. Thank you for the $5.
Oh my god! Wait, is that Ace? This guy's been stalking me for like over a fucking year. Okay.
Oh, I didn't know you had a stalker.
I have many of them.
I retract my earlier statement that say women are the only ones with stalkers, which is a thing I said and believe.
Right?
No, men do get stalkers.
No, I'm joking. I know that's not
the fact that like. Okay. Sorry. I do want to. I know.
To be honest,
male streamers who have had people be really creepy to them. It just happens way less often than female streamers getting creeps on them.
I don't know if that's
I've had like. I've had dozens of dedicated fucking A-logging haters solely because I came out as explicitly anti-Trump.
But Deb, be clear, it's
you?
haters. It's not. Yeah, it's not these like. It's not these psychotic rapists. Yeah, like it's a little
some
different.
of them want to rape me, but it's
haters
not normal.
Can be super. Okay, I don't know if that's exactly true, Charlie. I don't have statistics on this.
Wick, has anyone made AI porn of you?
Actually, yeah.
I was going to say
actually.
Probably.
Now that you mention it,
I'm doing it right now.
That's crazy.
It is, and I think that as you get to a certain level of notoriety, man or woman, you're just going to be subject to that shit, right? Like, and that's
but like I think like you can't.
What's the Tumblr link?
I'm not going to give you. I'm not going to show you my AI.
I will say for women, I do think it happens a lot earlier, where you get like psycho people who keep showing up, you know.
Oh yeah.
And debating bans,
it's also like I mean, like okay, if I open up my DMs on Twitter or Instagram, it's full of people begging to see me naked or to look at their penis or to tell them that their penis is
DMs,
small.
Okay. Anyway.
All right. Well, stop asking, Wick. I'm sick of it. But like, is that your DMs? Is like, please tell me my weenie's small. Please, can I buy your nudes?
Oh no,
please,
that's not mine.
Goddess, please poop on me. Like, is that because that's all my Instagram requests and Twitter DM requests. Like, I hate it.
I think
I'm
I
sick
think
of it.
the thing that bothers me is when you intentionally block people multiple times on multiple platforms, and then they go around those blocks and continue to harass you. And it's not like positive, like it's really negative and really gross stuff that they say to you, right? Like, yeah.
I think that could really wear.
$20 from Dr. Adam Refriended says a lot of incels, quote unquote, are treating women as equals, calling for DNA tests, pointing out double standards, etc. Labeling that incel things proves women live on easy mode, where society excuses and protects them no matter what.
Wick, do you agree with that? Do you agree with that, Wick?
No, I don't.
Okay, cool. That's more incel-adjacent than anything you've said, to be clear.
But but that's my whole point. I'm going to get through these. But yes, that's my whole point, was when you call my incel, when you call my rhetoric incel-adjacent, I think it's
you know what? Yeah, to be clear, I'll say this. After this conversation, just to wrap up, I think I'm much less concerned about my friend treading into incel territory. I think you like teeter on the line, not of being an incel, but being outside of what I would consider a completely out of the Venn diagram. So it's like, oh, you just like poked your head out into the incel room and like whispered an incel-y thingy, but you're not even close to being an incel. So.
Just the tip. Okay.
Just the tip, yeah.
$5 from Jordan Rogers to say, wouldn't mandatory paternity tests mean that if it is your kid, then it is your responsibility? Doesn't this also protect mothers from derelict dads?
I mean, yeah, in situations where that's like, you know, something like a situation between
like
two people, like a dispute. Yeah, but not like, you know, your wife gave birth and then you're like, okay, paternity test, like I would leave someone if they did that to me. I'd be like, the fuck, I just gave birth to your fucking child.
To be clear, if there was a completely costless, like as soon as it happens you just immediately know who the dad is way to do this, I think there's probably like very good arguments for that. There's no reason not to, but this is just like means testing like welfare and saying like, oh, we should drug test every welfare recipient. It costs a fuck ton of money. Most of these people aren't doing drugs, and even though I don't want people on welfare to be doing drugs, it just does not make sense to implement this societal wide test that doesn't really fix the problem and actually ends up just causing more problems than it is. But ideally, if we could just know and like make sure people don't dodge child support, make sure that people aren't getting charged child support that shouldn't be. Yeah, of course. It's just not feasible. It's a silly solution.
$5 from the Pulse to say, do women realize that men with high body counts are normally the guys that they are attracted to?
No.
Okay.
I mean, they're the ones fucking. So
yeah, I mean,
the data,
at least all the celebrities,
lies, right? So.
Well, I mean, there's like, I guess like with men, there's people you're chill to sleep with, and people you would, not date. Maybe you'd sleep
It-
with them, but you wouldn't date them.
Women
Yeah,
are
exactly,
just
there's not-
intimidated that
Whores.
men have game. That's all I'm saying.
I feel like we put men in categories where like there's a men that like you'll hook up with, but you would never marry them, and those are usually like I'm gonna be
They're
honest, the high
whore.
body count men. It's like we can fool around, but would I marry you? No, you're not marriage
Wait,
material.
wait. So
Okay, well,
you can
let
have
me
a high
ask you-
body count because you're fucking all these guys with high body counts,
Yeah.
so that's fine. But you wouldn't marry them. But should people not judge you then by the same metric that you're judging these men?
Yeah. His
Wait,
body
wait,
count
wait,
is your
wait,
body
again?
count.
With a man
You said-
with a high body count. I would not sleep with a man with that.
No, I'm
that high
asking
of a body
Mooncake. You guys clearly aren't in alignment here.
Wait, sorry. Wait. So repeat your question. I
So
didn't hear the
you'll
first one.
sleep with a man with a high body count, but you won't marry him because he does have a high body count. Now, I'm assuming if you will do this, you must also have at least some sort of high body count because you're sleeping with people that you wouldn't marry at some sort of
Depends.
frequency.
It's like if you meet someone who does, but you're kind of like you know this about them, but you're kind of like, okay, like we can talk, like like a situationship, sure, but it's like I'm not gonna progress any further with this guy because like
Gross.
no, he's not marriage material.
Hmm.
Yeah, but that's
Okay.
still +1 on your number, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's what you do. Like
didn't count
kinda
'cause I
keep your
didn't like it.
number,
So you
keep
selectively
your
sleep
number
with
a good
men
thing.
you wouldn't marry, and then get married at the end of it.
Wait, say that again.
You're selectively kind of being a little choosy about very high body count men that you'll sleep
Love
with
that
here
Sloy's
and
attacking
there,
the woman.
and then you'll get
I'd be
married.
like really selective about it. If it's like
Hmm.
a guy who's like, oh, this guy's cool, like he's funny, whatever. Just if I'm like super.
I'm becoming an incel right now.
Hmm.
This is the
And then,
all
like, yeah,
incel.
This
I
is
might-
yeah.
Understood.
Now
I
I'm an
wouldn't
incel.
be with like a bunch of random men. No, of course not. But there's gonna be like those, people who stand out. But no, I would never marry one. No. of
Hmm.
course
Let
not.
me ask you
What
this
I
question.
will
I think
say-
eliminates some stuff, right? Who would you avoid? A man with an acceptable body count that has had 12 one-year relationships, or a man with a body count of 12?
12 one-year relationships, probably. Oh, actually, that's a good question. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. Having 12 relationships like that is a little questionable of why they ended.
What if,
Each
what if
year.
they're 60?
Yeah,
So
right.
maybe just the one with 12 bodies, maybe. Not too
Because I
sure.
think serial monogamy is scarier than someone
Yeah.
who's maybe just slept with one person a year. If you're just going relation to relation, that's scary. That's weird.
Yeah,
What's
like
going
I
on?
think
Why
that's a
can't you be
bigger
alone?
predictor of problems in a relationship than how many people someone has slept with.
What I'm talking about, like for me, like my standard, and obviously this is like a personal thing, would be 12. If someone has 15, I'm not really gonna complain. My issue, and I'm gonna be like honest, is once you get up to like 30 plus, it just says to me that you just have no like self-control. And that's like, just a big red flag. That's just like if you are constantly sleeping around, it's like, can I trust you? Are you a very, I don't know, trustworthy person? Are you someone who can be satisfied with just having one person for maybe the rest of your life? I don't really think so personally. And I think we see men specifically struggle with that when they do have high body counts.
So can let me share a little bit of my personal history.
You guys hate me.
No
you
doxing.
hate it.
Sorry.
Hate
sorry.
it. Okay, but go ahead.
Just really quick. So in my 20s, I was very emotionally unavailable, and I did date around. And then when I hit 30, I had a crisis point where I was like, oh my God, I've thrown away the love of several very good women. I've spent a lot of time just like hooking up and stuff like that. What if that was every good woman that was ever going to be put in front of me? And from that point on, I dated with intent for marriage. And within I had like 2.5 year relationship that broke up because she didn't want kids and I did. And then at that point, I met my wife and I went on from there. My body count is higher than what you would deem acceptable based on my 20s. But I think the mindset that you would want in a partner is what I had in my 30s. And you would have written me off based off of the number from my 20s as opposed to the man that I evolved to in my 30s.
I mean, I'm not saying it's impossible to evolve. I don't think that'd be fair, but I do think like seeing that would just be a future predictor. Where unfortunately there are a lot of men, and I can like even use like unfortunately one of my brothers, for example, that I know is in like the triple digits, that will never be able to have like a stable relationship in that way, even being a lot older. Because it's like once you get to like I think those higher body counts, you just really can't help yourself. And I'm not saying that's everyone, right? I do think you can change. Well, some men can change, but I think on average, I would say it just is a future predictor. And I think it's just easier to find someone that maybe has certain values that you're kind of looking for. And I wouldn't want someone who sees sex as just like, I don't know, like shopping around, if that makes sense.
Here's
Yeah.
what
Does
here's
or
what we're
did
gonna do.
not?
Hold on, real quick. Here's what we're gonna do. Okay. I'm gonna finish up these super chats. We're gonna get closing statements, and then we're gonna open up the panel. You can stay if you like, but you don't have to. How's that?
Oh, can you
Everyone good?
drag a Zerson when you're done?
Yeah, absolutely.
Sick.
He's
Okay.
gonna be a thing. Okay. $5 from the Pulse to say because of women. Hold on. Stop. Hold on. Because of
Wagon.
women obsession with height, should women expect guys who are 6 feet or taller to automatically have a side chick?
No.
Now, can I rant about the height stuff a little bit? Can I rant about it a little bit?
Briefly.
I am 5'6", and when I date men, I like them about my height. I like a short guy. I don't really care for tall men. My dad is really tall. I feel like I already have a tall man. It's my dad. And so every
Charlie,
time
you
a man is
cannot
above 6
complain
feet,
about
I'm
your
like,
DMs
"Oh,
being
you're pretty
exploding and then say, I like short, unconventionally attractive men. You are asking for it. I'm sorry.
Whatever. I mean,
Just
maybe.
get in there.
Not for the. Anyway, okay. But the thing is that a lot of very tiny women, like 5'3" and under, do not recognize when a man is 6 feet and above because they will have boyfriends. I had a friend who was 5'3". Her boyfriend was my height, and she was like, "Yeah, he's like 9," and I was like, "No, the fuck, he's not." And you can't tell because you're itty bitty boo boo baby size, and that's okay. But the thing is that the dating apps make it, create the 6 foot preference because then you can tell. I guess anyway, my point is I think that the height thing is that in an era in which there is economic equality for the most part between men and women, I think that cisgender women and cisgender men, heterosexuals, want to recreate. They want to artificially manufacture extreme visual sexual difference because it arouses them, and it's the only way that they can nut. So that's what they're doing. That's why they like the weird height disparities, is because they need to manufacture an extreme difference because it makes them horny because there's no longer economic inequality. Anyway, that's my fucking theory.
Because
That's
there's no
my
longer.
theory. This
Hold
is
on,
my
just so I get
theory.
this right. Hold on, no. Because there's no longer economic inequality, we need to recreate the inequality, but in height, so we can nut.
I don't
Can-
fucking do this. I don't do this, but there are absolutely cisgender heterosexual women and men who participate in this. Are you telling me I'm
Don't
wrong?
think
Listen,
that's a
I
lie.
had that fucking tweet. I had that insane tweet that got millions and millions of views, and it was full of tiny women telling me why they only like big men, and that was my conclusion: is they want to
It's
feel
not
like
because of
itty bitty
capitalism.
itty bitty boo boo babies. They want
It's
to
not
feel
because of
tiny because it makes them
okay.
horny. It makes them
Can I
horny.
just say, yeah, can I just say, just for a white pill for a lot of guys in the audience, I know plenty of women who, and I always thought I found that standard really stupid myself. I'd be like, why do you need like a guy who's over 6 foot? I
Yeah,
need,
but that's
I know
because you're
plenty
like
of women who
4'2", though.
I need that.
I'm not 4'2". I am not 4'2". Anyways, what I'm saying is, I've known plenty of women who are like around 5'1", 5'2", right? Who who would tell me all the time, like, oh, I want a guy who's 6 feet or taller. And so many of them ended up marrying guys who were the same height as them. I know one girl in particular who married a guy who is like an inch shorter than her. So, like it just,
Yeah.
get off the dating apps, I would say. Like,
Yeah.
All guys
Any
are
guy out there,
relevant.
guys, if you're worried about a woman writing you off, first of all, I'm like 5'10" probably. And if I've never had this be a problem, because any woman who would not date you because you're not tall enough, you don't want to date. It's just not worth it. That's a totally
Fair.
shitty
Yep,
reason to do
that's
it.
true.
True.
As an actual pretty short guy, yes,
When you
definitely true.
meet somebody in person, and you have chemistry, honestly, all those standards go out the window. They really do. you know?
$10 from Alexander Rin to say we should add men's body count to every subsequent woman they sleep with. That's more likely to indicate risk of STD. Women would start avoiding those men immediately.
Is this fucking Death Note where like, they get the years when you kill
Yeah, it's
someone with Death
the
Note?
cumulative body count of every man you've slept with is your real body count.
True. $20 from Dr. Adam Refriended to say, LOL, this is hilarious. Star talking about high body counts and other women and simp pill dudes agreeing with them, basically agreeing with incels, but since women are saying it, it's fine. Says a lot about these people. Shake my head. Okay.
Yeah, to be
Maybe.
honest, both Star and Mooncake's body count rhetoric is incel-adjacent. as well.
no,
In fact, we should probably put
my
them on
God.
trial.
I think
Yeah,
like sex
so
kind
can
of
I just explain
crazy.
my reasoning for this? My reasoning is one, again, I will say I disagree with Mooncake on the 12 thing. I think you have to kind of evaluate on a like
Give a number.
recent time basis.
Give a
No,
number.
like recent time
12's a bit low. Let's be honest. 12's a bit low.
No,
12 is so low. 12
Guys,
is
the
super
average for
low.
most people is like 4 to 8, men and women, just to be
Yeah.
clear. Like,
Eight people in a week. Like you want to look at like a shorter term and
No,
more
a
recent,
weekend.
right?
It was in a weekend. It was 8 people
I'm
in a
not talking
weekend.
about your example, Charlie. I'm not talking about your example. I'm talking about
That's
my
scary.
standard. My standard is like if you're sleeping
8
with
a
like
week?
8 people in a week, that's yeah, you're kind of
That's
being
crazy.
really
That's fucking crazy. Yeah.
yeah, even 5 a week, you know, like or you
Oh.
know, like
Every day
yeah.
that Y ends on Y and twice on Sunday, right? Like,
Yeah, I don't like that. Like, so, and I think the reason why I think that is like, there's a little, like, I think obviously it's a problem when women do it too, right? But like, you want to look at like recent, and like short periods of time and like, why are they doing this, right? And there's always going to be exceptions to the cases. But like, yeah, people who kind of engage in that really risky behavior, it's a red flag and it should be a red flag man or woman, but I do think that for men, because it's harder to get laid, it is a little bit more of a red flag
I
for
got
me.
4 super chats more to go through, right? Let's get through them and let's get to closings. Let's open up the pit, okay? $2 from Ace to say Ace is hardly an uncommon name. Dev, you dolt. $5.
No. Was I bamboozled?
I guess. I don't know. $5 from Audacity to say the only time Wick is incel adjacent is when he talks to us in the Discord.
oh, so you're hiding your power level, buddy. Okay.
$10 from Dr. Adam Refriended to say I'm confused, simp pill. How does treating women as equals, as actual people, make it incel adjacent? How can you interpret my super chat as being close to incel rhetoric?
So is he the one who said we need to paternity test every single woman, like when they give birth?
I think so,
Right.
yeah.
So it's like, first of all, it's not treating women as equals because it's impossible to paternity test a woman because of course she gave birth unless you like did a fetus swap at some point. So this is stupid. But also because the implication, and I've said this a million times, that if we need to do that, it's because we need to litmus test every single woman. We need to dump all this money into these tests because so many of them are conniving. The incel adjacent stuff is the idea that you think this is some huge epidemic problem of women lying about it when it's a problem that just doesn't happen that much.
Okay.
I mean,
So you do end up having babies switched around in hospitals, right? So maybe you should be testing women too.
what if we make a compromise where okay, men, it's required for this paternity test, like when you give birth for a birth certificate, but men every month have to get STD tested for the rest of their lives if they're married.
Why not both?
I mean,
Both
that's
STD tested.
yeah, I think both of them should, honestly. I got
Okay.
HPV from a woman once, all right? She was the one giving it around, despite what
What you're saying.
Mooncake is saying. Women spread disease. They're cootie-infested freaks.
Yeah,
The-
who do you
the-
think
they
the men are
worship
getting it
Nurgle.
from, right?
I'm
It's
sealed
not
up.
their gay lover.
Okay, last one.
Well, maybe.
$5 from the Pulse to say my point is the guy who is 6 foot tall, good at talking to women, who has decent money, are more likely to have a high body count. Thank you for $5. And with that,
Damn.
let's get closings from people because I know some people have to go, and then we'll open it up and.
Actually, before that, if you don't mind, I do want to ask Charlie something. A couple
ahead.
minutes ago, Charlie, you said something along the lines of dating is now being funneled through height or other things because capitalism has led to basically wage equality between men and women. Was that basically it?
No, my point is that my theory is that I think height has become a much more important metric is because one, dating apps have turned people into data points, and dating apps are, sort of, I mean, very much a for-profit sort of invention. But also, I think it is because with the absence of economic inequality, I do think that many men and women still kind of want to be. Oh, Star, you're echoing a little bit.
Oh, sorry, I forgot.
Still want to be like have a sort of power dynamic of some kind. And I would say in it not necessarily a harmful way. I think maybe oftentimes in like a fun, playful way. I know a lot of women who make a lot of money who do want a man who is much bigger and stronger than them because sometimes they do want to feel like a little lady. and they don't want to feel like a high-powered, high-earning woman. And so again, I do think that is why the height thing has become so important. I think that people are trying to manufacture sexual difference to affirm their gender identities. I think that heterosexual people do this a lot. I think it is literally gender affirmation for the heterosexuals.
I
Okay.
just don't know about it. The economic bit is what's throwing me. Okay.
Well, what I
it's
heard-
like what? Okay, in an era in which I would say that gender is, I don't want to get into a trans debate, please, for the love of God, but I would say that that gender is, primarily, performed through certain roles. I mean, we have gender roles. Traditionally, it would be women would do child rearing and domestic chores and whatnot, and men would do, work outside of the home. We don't really have that split anymore. We have in our behaviors, and in our roles that we take on, we have all become very, very androgynous. And so I do think that for people to affirm their gender, heterosexual people, I do think that they want to kind of manufacture some sort of difference so that they do feel like women or like men in some capacity, if that makes any sense.
It does actually, because what you were saying reminded me of a paper I might have read maybe 3 weeks ago or so, and it's basically by a guy who he's a Marxist, but he's also right wing, and he's also a red pillar. I was like, okay, all right. But I read this paper, and his
It's a
hypothesis is
struggle,
basically,
honestly, but go ahead.
Yeah, good God.
yeah. So his hypothesis basically is that feminism has ended up accelerating capitalist inequality between the classes, because beforehand, in the pre-feminist society, you would have men who they'd marry down, and then they'd have families that are basically across class between high value men and then lower value women. But now, rather than doctors and lawyers marrying their secretaries, doctors and lawyers marry other doctors and lawyers. So because we have gender equality in the workplace, the family units that come out of the pairings they're created now end up stratifying class difference a lot more. And so his solution to bring about class equality is to abolish feminism.
So I disagree
Based.
strongly with the idea that people would marry across class lines, because I mean it was very much people would only marry within their class. Like the idea, the sort of pretty woman scenario is in fact a very rare one. That's why all the kind of romantic, fun Jane Austen novels are like, oh, and she was an like of the noble class, but she was not as noble and rich as him. Like like fucking Pride and
Mhm.
Prejudice. Like these are still people who make a shit ton of money, but she doesn't make as much of a buttload shit ton fuck ton of money as Mr. Darcy. Like people do very much marry within their classes, and they always have. Like I feel like that's a very, very common misconception.
In fact, it's an
And
incel point to bring up this idea that, like,
yeah.
oh, average women, 5s and 6s, can just get picked up by these Instagram influencers and flown out to these islands, when in reality it's a very, very, very small subset of the very, very, very most attractive women. And most people do just kind of date within
Hold on.
their look spans and their class.
Didn't we
but
just
it
make that
happens.
argument
And
for
like
women
most-
streamers with their ugly boyfriends? Like, didn't we just make
That
the
is also an
argument?
incredibly small subset, as we pointed out to Charlie. It is not the
That's
average.
a weird phenomenon, and I have a lot of theories about that I could talk about at length, but I think it is mostly because a lot of streamer women, before they started streaming, were just mega dorks
And
that
hate
didn't really
themselves.
know
Yes,
that they were pretty.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And
but
also
I
have
can
very low
confirm, Charlie.
self-esteem
I've seen the
because they were
photos.
made fun all the
Haven't
time.
realized their
It,
real
it,
power
it is the
level.
former fat girl syndrome, where she doesn't know how good looking she is now after she lost all the weight. It's that
Yes.
kind of thing, I think.
Also, when you have a job that
You
is
don't
highly
look
focused on your
beautiful.
looks, when you're focused highly on your looks, sometimes you don't want to date a man that is like very like looks maxi focused on his own looks, because
What?
it's stressful.
Is that your
You
looks,
know, like a
Maxie?
dude. That's
Yeah.
like pairs a
Well,
lot of
I could
appearance.
confirm
for
this.
my money.
Wait, no, this is
That's so
actually so true.
stressful.
I've had so many women tell me they're insecure by the fact that I like go to the gym and they feel pressured to look better, and I'm like, sorry, like then fucking do it. Like, but this is a real phenomenon. I've had this happen.
You even left.
Okay.
Leah.
Man.
Okay. I do got to get to closings because I do want to open this up, and you can stay. Yeah, you're all welcome to stay as long as you like. Let's start with Charlie, and we'll end with Soy Pill. And in your closings, give your final verdict. Is Wick incel-adjacent? Okay, Charlie, let's start with you. Go ahead.
After talking through this all, think that Wick is incel adjacent. I think we could talk a bit more about the idea of women being coddled, perhaps more in depth, but I don't think he's incel adjacent. I do think that he needs to not suggest creators like Xerxes. No offense, Xerxes. It's just that a lot of your stuff really is like a bit if I was an ugly guy struggling to get laid, it would just bring me down to such great pits of despair. So I think you gotta no black pill stuff. We gotta empower, you know, the maybe socially awkward, not so cute guys and help them get girlfriends rather than tell them that they'll never be loved ever.
Okay. Thank you for being here. Really appreciate you.
Thank you
I
for
think you
having me.
added a
I had
lot.
fun.
Good. Dev. You're muted, Dev. Dev. Dev, wake up. Okay, he's not here right now. Let's go to Mooncake. Mooncake, go ahead.
Okay, couple of things. No, do I think you're incel adjacent? No, I don't think so. I think you just post like stupid memes. Honestly, I kind of feel
Guilty
like
as charged, frankly, but go ahead.
I kind of feel like in 50 Shades of Grey, if Mr. Grey was ugly, like there's no way any of that would have happened, and I don't think we consider stuff like that. And like that just is the truth. But once again, I do think that comes back to like the idea of pretty privilege. Yeah, I think that was basically it. I thought I had some other stuff, but no, I think that's it. I don't think you're incel adjacent.
Thank
I think
you.
you're good.
Okay, 2 out of 2, not guilties. Dev, go ahead.
I'm back. Sorry about that. Wick, you're an incel, and it's pretty based.
Okay. 1 pro incel. Okay, vote. 2 none.
Well,
Okay, well, go ahead.
So, okay, my actual opinion is, I guess I just don't take this topic quite as seriously as you did, Soy Pill. I mean, I know you're not taking it that seriously anyway, but still, like, I've never liked the pipeline discourses because I know, like, Xander Hall, his whole thing was, I was the guy who was pulled out of the alt-right pipeline, and it's like, yeah, but you're still a retard, and the alt-right doesn't exist anymore, and the pipeline doesn't exist anymore. You know, like, the last round of discourse was a Econo Boy normalizing communists online or something, and that was also just fundamentally pipeline discourse. Like, even if you are not that thing, how much can you influence people into becoming that thing if the thing is bad? That's basically the question. And in my opinion, it's more important if you're saying things that are true than anything like that.
Based. Okay. Rabid Wombat.
So I think the most important thing we learned today was Charlie let us know that economic inequality has been solved and is no longer an issue. So I think that is
No
great.
wage gap.
Now,
I mean, between
hey, this is closing statements, lady. None of that.
And that it caused capitalism to accelerate.
That's right. That's right. All very valid points, and I'm totally on her side. I think it's bad that we have bootstrap solutions for men, institutional change for women, and that it's bad if we offer bootstraps for women and institutional change for men, even if we pair it with it as a reaction to institutional change for women. Wick is not an incel. He's not a red pillar. He's not even an MRA in the negative connotation, but he is in a sphere where he wants to be able to speak to these people and affect change. He wants to be able to engage with them and not just in open conflict. You have to let them get it out. You have to commiserate a little bit on that front, like we've said. You can't just let them live with what they see in YouTube shorts and streamers that are in that red pill community. You have to start the conversation with them in a non-confrontational way, or else they'll never come to you. But does Wick do enough work to provide these reasonable takes in response to those concerns? And that's where I think he's certainly capable of it. I do take this topic seriously. I have a 6-year-old son. I look at what's available to him out there to watch, what's in my feed and what will eventually be in his feed. I would rather my son see someone like Wick or even Irrelevant than a lot of the other options out there.
Xerxes, if you had to have your son watch
God,
Xerxes
dude.
or Soy Pill.
Well, so we already talked about that, and I told you there's things that I would definitely want Xerxes to him to see his take on it. I think there are some things that Soy Pill goes further. So I think if it was a sprint, Xerxes, if it was a marathon, I think Soy Pill would eventually run out of soy and get to some important stuff. You know, so we'd see.
Wild.
Can I say both? Can I say both? Is that a weasel out
It's a
kind of
centrist
thing?
answer.
So exactly, I'm a centrist. Just like you are thoughtful in ensuring that you platform women, and then when you're not memeing, that you're actually taking it seriously, I want you to be careful and considerate in who you send your audience to on male topics. I think you're capable of great things in this category. You're someone I would like my son to hear. You've got some experience, some wisdom in these things, and you exist
Glazing.
in the meat space. You're not captured online. You have experience. I want him to have takes about people who've actually gone up and talked to women in person instead of just sent them lewds in their DMs. So you're one of the good ones.
Oh, well,
Not in incel. Do more. I expect more of you.
You know what my problem is now I'm super suspicious of you because you've complimented me so much, and I'm
Too
like, what
much.
the fuck does this guy want?
Suspiciously
Don't worry,
much.
Okay.
it'll average
But
out
it's-
over the next month.
We'll get to
Dude, it's more suspicious that you would have your kid watch fucking Irrelevant. Are you kidding me?
No, I'm talking like 10 years from now. So I didn't want to say Xerxes because I think he goes too far in some areas. Irrelevant is the far post. That when I have Wick and Irrelevant is like the far post for me.
I do
when
on
start talking
a
about those
serious note,
things.
that is, I'm honored that you would want your child to watch my content, thinking it would help him and make him a better man. So thank
Like
you
10
for
years
that.
from now. 10
Yeah.
years from now.
Of course, I'm not going to talk.
Irrelevant. I thought that Irrelevant was just like a socialist. Like what?
I mean, yes, that's actually
he went through a
retarded, so-
transformation about 2-3 years ago and went through a journey. And I think he's still got a little ways to go, but I think he's a good example of someone who's working his way in the self-improvement area. That would
What
be
did you turn into from a socialist?
I don't know,
You from
Canadian?
socialist to what? Like, what is he? What is he now?
Ever a socialist.
Social dem, sock dem, maybe.
Am I thinking of the right person?
Maybe
Was
not.
he a
Really?
AH relevant? I
Yeah,
thought he
AH
was very
relevant.
left
Okay.
leaning.
Yeah, but he's not a socialist.
He's
Oh
not?
my bad.
I always thought he was. I
I
always thought he was
thought
like
he
3
was
years
a
ago.
socialist on
No,
our
Maybe
I
it was
don't-
3 years
I
ago.
don't know.
Anyway, we can ask him later. I'll DM him and find
You
out.
mean like Hassan is a socialist? That kind of
Yeah.
socialist?
Hold on.
Oh my god.
Stardust. Give me your verdict. You're muted.
Thank you for having me on, and thank you for allowing me to derail as much as I did. I do think that in general, when it comes to this topic, I can't say for sure whether Wick. I just don't know. I don't think Wick is somebody who is an incel. Whether he engages in incel rhetoric, I guess I haven't. But I will say I do think like this is a multi-pronged issue, and I think we need to think about things beyond ourselves, men and women, right? The like I've always kind of despised this whole like don't approach me anywhere at all for anything, right? When we're talking about like how women approach like men approaching them. And I think that that's a flaw. And I think also like men talking about like, oh, why is it so hard to find a woman, who's interested in me? Like there are multiple reasons for this, right? And so I think at the end of the day, like I think a lot of men, their self-esteems have been really negatively impacted by the modern dating market, and I understand why. And I think we just need to like advocate for a lot of men to
Women are mean.
appreciate themselves more, and same with women. Appreciate yourself more, and have higher standards for yourself and for the people that you date. Okay. And there was one last thing I was going to say. I know I come off as kind of radical. I just have that like female perspective, and I do think that there are a lot of issues that women face that aren't really at the forefront of a lot of this discourse. Like we talk about like male loneliness, but we don't ever talk about like how many women like give up like their social lives once they enter relationships, and then also completely give up everything, any extracurricular, once they're married and have kids, right? So like I do think that there's like a huge blind spot in that sense. But yeah, that's just my main thing, is like I think just everybody could be a little bit more empathetic and a little bit more nice to themselves. So
True.
Yeah.
Be nice to yourself and be nice to other people. Because women are mean and so are men. And you just gotta like, find nice ones. Soy Pill, final verdict.
Yeah, I mean, unless you're hiding your power level, this reassured me a lot. I'd say you're no longer incel-adjacent. You're dipping your toe into the incel lake, and I'm pulling you back. I'm a lifeguard. I'm tweeting my whistle. I'm like, careful there, buddy. You're dipping your toe in the gross, mucky water. And I never thought you were an incel, so that's good. But yeah, now I think you're a lot less close than I thought you were. Sometimes you just worry me a little bit, and I'm your friend, and I care about you, and I don't want you to be an incel. I want you to have lots of delicious sex, or making love. Because screwing, no one does that. No one screws. We make love. Chads make
Keep it
love.
under 12. Under 12.
No, keep it over 18. Definitely. So yeah, Wick, good luck on Andrew Wilson. Good luck talking about the definition of a word for 2 hours. I would blow my brains out, and I hope you had fun because I did. I'm more reassured of your already good personhood.
Well, thank you. And with that, we're gonna open up the panel. You guys, again, if you guys need to go, I get it, but got some people who want to say some things. I'm going to bring
folks,
them on.
I'm going to talk with
gonna
Zerst for maybe a little less than an hour
That's what
here
we'll do.
because
Actually, just real quick,
man is an
Stardust.
incel.
Stardust, are you going back to the panel space
Non-fun's
permanently
here.
now?
Maybe. I haven't decided. I still want to work on video essays mostly. But
Yeah, me too, but yeah.
Video essays take forever.
Oh god, I'm actually here.
They
Yeah.
do.
Good lord. Everyone at once?
Wow.
Wick, you fucking...
All right.
I'll be back.
This will be
But
nice.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
I feel the same way.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
god. Yeah, mercy.
If I may real
Christ.
fast.
miss them.
If
They're
I may
fun.
real fast. Dev, short fat otaku, are you there?
I'm right here, yeah.
Listen, my friend,
I
it's
cannot hear myself
interesting.
think
I
overall
don't,
if you
Dude,
can.
I don't know
Pray, shut up.
to what extent you and I will really interact in this conversation. But I had a friend of mine that loves you.
Hey,
She's a
Dev.
great fan of yours. She brings you up a lot. And it's actually
who is it?
it's fascinating for me. Her name's, I'm gonna call her Caddy. I'm not gonna tell you her real name.
Well, is
yeah,
she like an online person or like anyone that I know?
Yeah, she's like online. She's like online. Yeah, she's been in your Discord. I think she was the one that asked you to play Kingdom Hearts on stream with your friend. I think.
No,
I think
I know
she's
exactly who you're
mentioned
talking. I know exactly.
Yeah.
Is her name Rose? Is it Rose?
Got to tell you, right? So it's interesting to finally be in a panel with you, but I don't think we'll argue or discuss too much. But I just wanted to say hi to you specifically.
I didn't know that you knew her. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Did you take
But
2
yeah,
minutes to say hi to someone on the panel?
I had to. I've known of him for very many years. I had
No,
to.
did
It's very
definitely
weird,
say
honestly.
hi. Like, that's cool,
You
but
know,
that was a really long way to
it
do
was
it.
a long-
We all thought that was
It's-
going to lead to
it.
something.
No, it's
But-
always
but
very
listen,
strange when
no,
people know
no,
who I
it's-
am, man. It's always very strange. I don't think I'm that big or anything.
Yeah,
I feel like you're
understand.
about to apply for a job at his company. That's what I felt like.
Not even. No, me and Soy though, fam. What is Charlie? What are you guys doing?
What are we
What are
doing?
you guys doing?
What are we doing, buddy?
Crazy,
Come
man.
on.
It's a little
listen,
crazy,
first of all,
dude.
see, here's the thing,
your
Charlie.
name
This
spreads around,
isn't
Dev.
fair. This isn't fair because I have been on record on Twitter
Hello?
defending the things you've said. By the way, I've come to bat for you
When?
on Twitter. I've argued for you on Twitter. So that's not even. That's kind of cold. To
Well, I
say I'm over
appreciate it.
here
I
making
don't-
people depressed. That's
Yeah, but then
not
Soy
right.
said nothing
Oh,
wrong
it's-
with the fact that you may
But
not be
Soy-
incel, but you agree with every point they
But
have
it's like-
in these
So
conversations
I
every
don't
time
agree.
you're on.
So I
Just a little bit.
actually don't. I don't think you listen to me if you think I agree with everything they say. Actually, what I say is pretty straight. They're right about the current state of affairs. I'm not a biological determinism. I don't think being ugly.
They're right about
means that it's
everything, but I
game,
don't
set, match
agree
for you.
with them.
They're right about the current state of affairs. It's a very specific statement. If we are to say or suggest that being attractive is the most important thing that people measure before they even engage in a relationship, that would be correct. In fact, the first piece of advice any of you guys give is to do what? Improve how you look. Where's the counter argument to the incels?
No
then?
one's
No,
arguing
I
against that
got
thing,
one.
though.
No, hold on. I actually am. I think Charlie kind of brought this up, but I think if anything, women consistently show evidence that they are always the ones who are willing to concede to a partner who is less attractive than them.
So
The reason we
here's the
say,
question.
hold on. Hold on. You've been talking for 5 minutes, and 3 of them was saying hi to somebody. Give me more than 30 seconds to respond.
We barely even got
Xerxes,
into anything. though.
Xerxes, you don't know my point yet, and you're going to argue it, and it's
Go
going to
ahead.
waste time.
Go
So
ahead.
I am
what I
going to
would
cycle
say
you
is
guys through when I'm
the
bored with you.
reason we give like some of those easy things to do at the beginning as the prescriptions is because just that they're easy to do and you don't need to interact with a woman yet to do them, because like Soy said, you shouldn't just go in cold with random women in random parts of your life as a way to learn. You should do what other people do, and whatever they're trying to practice has some risk for other people. You practice in theory before you operate in practice, right?
That's goofiness. See,
that's not goofiness
the reason
at
why,
all.
I'll tell you why this is goofiness. Let me tell you why this is goofiness, right? Women are just people. That's all they are. They're just humans. Being able to talk to people and have normal, regular conversations is a skill that you develop over a period of time. You should talk to women. You should talk to women at the grocery store. Just if they wear a shirt you like, you should say, hey, I like that shirt. That's a nice shirt. What band is that? XYZ. And move on. There's nothing wrong with that. That's a skill that you should develop over a period of time.
It depends. If you don't yet know how to determine whether someone wants to talk to you, there can be something wrong with that.
How could you learn that without actually being engrossed? See,
because like you said, women are just people, so you can talk to other people, including men, to gain social skills that will work with women.
Okay, so I brought ice
so
more married women. Or married brown.
But this doesn't change anything. Though. So like
you're just saying that.
You just say well, think about it. The first piece of advice you still come back down to, well, we tell them that they should improve how they look because it's an easy thing to do. Well, actually, exercising is not just an easy thing to do. It takes time. It takes dedication. It takes a lot of effort to put into it in order to trigger this muscle growth that's going on. That's number one. Number two, if you don't have facial hair, you can't clean it up in any stylish way, right? So it's like you say that is easy. But here's the problem. Even if we improve the way that you look, there's still the height problem that we talked about earlier. I wasn't on the panel while I was listening. We talked about the height issue. We talked about the preferences that some of
the height issue just doesn't bear out. Most women just prefer someone taller than them.
Right?
Most women just prefer someone taller than them, and men all on average are taller than women on average.
So, and you're correct, but here's the problem. Yeah. The problem is that very many people accept that because a woman has done something, that means she's satisfied. It doesn't mean that at all. There's many women, they've gone on record, I've just seen just recently in many different TikTok videos, going on record saying that I knew I shouldn't have married this man. I knew I didn't want to be with him, was married for him for 2 years, got a divorce later. There's many a tale of this. They're telling this to young
Jeb,
men.
have you considered that Zers watches a lot of Instagram reels and TikToks?
No, but this is my problem is everything you just everything you just brought up demonstrates that women are more likely to settle than men, even though you claim the opposite. So women generally prefer men who stop. Let me finish. So women generally prefer someone 2 to 3 inches taller than them. Men on average are 6 inches taller than women. Women generally will date someone who is less attractive than them. Men almost exclusively will not. They seek out partners based primarily on their physical attractiveness. And like you said, women are more likely to take a chance on a relationship with the idea that a man might grow to meet their needs and might start being empathetic.
I said they settle.
You said, I know I should. Yes, they settle, but they don't settle just to... That is taking a chance.
Someone that you don't want to be with.
Hold on, just real quick. Jebtan, Xerxes, there's 12 people here. We're gonna need to get some other voices in. Okay?
No, I mean, look, I came here. Look, my old friend Soyko.
You're.
What are you doing?
You got called out. Man? I get it.
What are you doing?
I actually watched your videos before this panel just to remember whether or not you were an incel, or at least incel agreeing, and it was pretty bad.
They won't claim me, fam.
So I want to.
Yeah, just because they're more radical than you does not mean that you're not enveloped in them.
You have a lot of stake here in this discussion. Okay, I understand. I see you on Twitter putting yourself out there. I'm with you, brother. Okay, I love you, brother. I try to help where I can.
Wait, are you calling him an incel?
No, he's trying his best. Okay, he's doing what he needs to do. Okay, I don't know if he gets laid or not, but
that's kind of what I came to comment on. I'm curious how Soyfill feels about this too. I feel like the rhetoric that Soyfill might consider incel-adjacent, both, I guess he's somewhat backed off from it on Wick, but also had a classmate named Adam who was definitely incel-adjacent. That type of rhetoric has probably been the stuff that is inspired me the most to improve myself. Wick telling me to talk to girls is a non-zero reason why I got my driver's license finally.
Well, I don't think Wick telling you to talk to girls is incel-adjacent, to be clear. But that's awesome. Yeah. Actually, that makes me very happy.
I'm telling you, right? Like Wick, I was telling Wick in the DMs, he's not incel adjacent. Like I don't even know why we had this panel. He's
Would you
not.
say you are?
Wait,
sir?
Would
you consider yourself incel adjacent? Cersei?
Me?
Well, I just want to be clear because
oh yeah, I would be. Yes.
Okay, cool. So if you're considering Wick is nowhere close to you. So
yeah, I would be adjacent by definition. Yes.
Ice Beans, you had something to say.
I came to say I don't know where people. I mean, I've missed, and I tried to find out what exactly it is that made people think Wick is incel adjacent. Wick just strikes me as the kind of guy that like has a girlfriend and has a wife, or has like a wife and is hiding her away from everyone.
I thought he was married.
He seems very grounded. You know what I mean? That's just like the energy I get. So I'm interested to know where the incel energy has like even came from.
Yeah, he reposted an incel meme on Twitter, and he was saying things that were like complaining about men in ways that I thought were like incel adjacent, where it's like, okay, clearly you're pointing out a problem that might be true, but you're not really offering solutions, and you just seem to be bitter and lamenting in the way that I see in incel forums that I used to browse for fun. But like he's clarified, because I don't want to relitigate this. He's nowhere close to Zeus.
The stereotypical like wife memes, like the ball and chain memes, like I feel
but
like
he's not doing that. That's different. That's boomer complaining about women. That's misogyny.
Like a chauvinist. Which that's like chauvinism.
Do you guys think I got like? Do you guys think I got like women like in my basement just locked up? What?
No. I'm saying like a stable person. Like you seem like a stable person. You know what I mean?
I try to be stable. Yeah. Well, honestly, I would think that might be evidence that I don't talk to a lot of women, right? Because I'm still stable. They haven't driven me insane yet, right?
I could push you over.
Yeah, I mean that's
chauvinism.
That's the other. Well, hold on. That's the weirdly enough, that's the other reason why I think like you're not someone like that, because for me, I've been married, but also like I am married, but also for the longest time I just dated one person, so I don't even like think about dating, you know what I mean, or not in that sense anyway. So, and I feel like that's the kind of energy you bring, Wick.
I can't tell if this you're not good or
lamenting
not.
You're not.
It's good.
No,
it's good.
No, it's good. It's good. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. And you know what? This actually makes a lot of sense because that kind of reminds me of me, because I will definitely make jokes that if I were single might come off as incel-ish, because I've been in a relationship for 9 years and it's a very solid relationship. I'm just like, I'm just fucking around. Who cares? This is just for fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do we actually have an operational definition? Because if anything disparaging towards women is considered incel, well, game, set, match, I guess. So how do we actually focus in? What is
specific? The meme is incel-y because it's pointing out an involuntary part of somebody's physical being and blaming that for why they can't get women. That
wait, Jeb. Let me clarify too. It's using an incel meme, Saint Black Ops Cell 2, which is like exclusively on incel forums. It's not like, because Star pointed out there is the exact same meme of the fat pimply guy in the office being like, hello ma'am, and she's like, hello police, and then the hot guy. If he had posted that, I wouldn't even thought about it. It's because I saw Saint Black Ops Cell 2.
See, I didn't even know that that's like an incel.
It could be a little bit of
I got a mod.
I'm gonna peace out.
Okay, see you later.
Have fun, everybody.
I appreciate the
the
normie energy advocacy. But I will say this. Can I just say this before I let you go, Stardust, and I'll let you go?
Okay.
That meme has a lot of truth to it. If you are less attractive, you have more problems than, at least in dating, than if you are more attractive. I think that's just a true statement.
It is very true.
Right? Yeah, it's true for men and for women. And can I just say, like, I do think it's interesting, an interesting double standard that, like, when I was giving my closing statement, the amount of people I saw saying, like, oh, I'll never take relationship advice from somebody who's single and childless in their 30s. Like, why are we listening then to men who are single and childless in their 30s? And
people say the same thing. No, they do the same thing. The people do the same thing to me all the time. What do you? That's ubiquitous. I feel. Yeah. I was just in a YouTube argument with someone just the other day where they just kept on personally attacking me, saying this and that. So I just gave the ghost. I said, fine, then I'm everything you say I am, but address my argument. You know.
If you want
I think it's important.
Attack people, like,
Desolate. I would call Wick the exact same thing if he was a hot guy. It's based completely on his rhetoric.
that and the points that I'm bringing, these issues that women face are so ridiculous. But then if you don't want to take the advice of somebody who is currently like choosing to not engage in that, then and giving the reason why they don't want to engage in that, like then yeah, like your loss, I guess. But like you wouldn't write off anybody, right?
Patty, thank you for the raid on YouTube. Really appreciate you.
Radical
Welcome.
coder rated.
Fatty
I've
viewers,
never been
we're
rated
talking
before.
about
Thanks, buddy.
Hi.
incels. Okay, that's what we're talking
Sure
about
is, yeah, I'm
today.
sure his audience
I
will
do
have
want to
something
hear
to
real
say.
quick.
Stardust, what you were saying, I don't think that's gendered, because just yesterday I witnessed Sargon basically give Nick Fuentes a public dressing down, talking about this stuff.
In most cases, I don't think it's gendered in most cases. I'm just arguing with people who actually I'm just arguing with the people in the chat who actually disagree with me.
Okay, yeah.
Well,
Fair enough.
I think that's rude of them to do, but I think if
Agree.
people want to use your body's produced count as
Yeah.
a indicator of future behavior, I
Bodies
think that's
produced?
perfectly
That's a
acceptable.
good one. Bodies
Well, no,
produced
listen,
count is good.
I do have a question. I do have a question for non-fun. Okay, because look, what
Because he's my
kind of
biggest fan on the
rhetoric?
panel. so.
What kind of like, as someone who's younger, you're younger in this space, you're actively looking. What kind of things do you need rhetoric-wise? What kind of like do you need people to just give you an attaboy thing? Like, what advice would you like? I'm just wondering what you want and need out of streamers in this
Yes.
space.
And then who
So
would be
I
more
have-
likely to get you laid, me or Wick? If you listen to both of us.
Listen to me.
Probably soy pill. I would guess soy pill. I would guess. So I don't know. Like,
Maybe
I don't
not
know what I
quick.
need. So like, I don't know what
he
the
might be too
optimal,
handsome to take advice from.
like the optimal like
Hey, what is-
advice
what?
to hype
You're
me
not
up or
helping
whatever
me.
is.
Well, and listen, Soy's not just better with women; he's also prettier. So I mean,
Exactly.
he's
Got it.
actually
Harder
he's-
is
he's-
dating
Hey,
the
hey,
Thing,
that's actually
I
you
used to
should
be-
listen to me. Listen
I used to be
me.
fat and ugly,
Listen to
okay?
me.
And I still
Not
got
Not
women.
fun. Do you have
I do wanna
no?
listen
I
to
was
women.
I was a man with a pussy at one point. I was a 5'6" man with a pussy, and that's a hard knock life. I'll tell you what. So listen, listen.
Doesn't
not
get much
fun.
smaller than that for
Do you
dick
like
size.
do you like Renaissance fair live action role play
beg to
Dungeons
differ.
and Dragons anime convention things? Do you like those things?
Nope.
What do you like?
no, he'd need to go to like a
Unplugged,
Biden
no.
rally or something. He'd need to go to
What
like
do you
the Women's
like?
March, the Women's March,
I like,
and shrimp welfare, and
Yeah, the shrimp. Well, actually, you know what? They do hold effective altruism conferences. Okay, I bet the woman at effective altruism conferences. I bet they, maybe they'll get along with me.
Wait, not fun. Unironically, there's
right.
a cult, and I don't like calling it a cult, but they call themselves a cult of people. And every single person that I've mentioned this to, because I'm friends with a bunch of them, know about the Shrimp Welfare Project. It's men, it's women, it's some of the smartest people I know. I'll introduce you to their Discord. I bet you could find a lot of people that you'd like in there.
Ladies.
I bet.
Okay,
I don't know. Is
I'll
it
say this
okay
right now.
for me to
If you get
approach women
laid because
in
of
the?
the Shrimp Welfare Project, I will donate to the Shrimp
That's-
Welfare
that's-
Project.
Hell yeah!
Well,
Hell yeah!
my
Hey,
question
listen.
is- well, hold
He
on.
needs a woman
If I may
to help
ask,
him. It has to be a woman
Yeah,
to help him.
non-fun, do you actually like want a relationship or do you want to have sex indiscriminately? Because those are two different things.
I think I mean, not that like I'm a man. I'm not going to be opposed to sex indiscriminately.
I'm not choosy.
Like,
No, but I think you should.
Right,
I because I'll tell you why. The way you're gonna approach trying to be with a woman in a relationship is absolutely gonna be different than how you'd approach a woman you're trying to date indiscriminately.
I know
Like,
Zeus is giving advice.
Those are two categories of people
Sure.
that are gonna operate differently, right? So it's like, what do you actually want?
so like I think I would. So to make it clear, like I understand there's going to be a difference in how you approach those situations, and like I think I would prefer a relationship. I'm just saying, like, if the
Wait, when
opportunity
you
presented
post
itself
the
for
drooling
indiscriminate sex, I
emoji
probably
meme,
wouldn't.
when you post the drooling emoji meme on every e-girl's Twitter photos, is that you looking for a relationship or sex?
He's looking for a wife. in those
That's not me.
cases.
Exact. That's true. Actually,
That's not you.
That's
Do you have a
true. That's
social
not
media
me.
handler?
Is it more
That's
important
not
for
me
you to?
seriously
Okay,
attempting
okay.
But that's what
anything.
you're putting
It's
out
shit
there.
posting.
Actually wants like a relationship or just sex, you have to hang out with more women. I would say it'd make more sense to be in groups of
Non-fun
women.
hangs out with a lot of
Because
women. He
you
posts
see
it.
more women. Because then women
They
know
might
just
there's
think he's
people
gay.
around you. They're gonna be like, oh,
Well,
this guy's
So they
cool.
might just
There are a
think
lot of
he's
women
gay.
who think I'm gay.
I think it depends.
Yeah, they'll
I
just
think
think
it
he's gay
depends.
after that point. If it's
Literally
too
a
many women.
positive.
Okay.
No. That's a positive in many spaces. In cities, if you're a straight guy who seems a little gay, like you'll go places.
That's actually true.
Go the
In fact,
places
sometimes
you
I
go.
pretend to be gay
It's crazy.
Is that the
to
place
just
but
you
those
be.
wanna
places
go?
aren't
Is
the
that where you're gonna
bedroom.
find yourself? Yeah,
Those
exactly.
places are
They're-
the, yes, they are. They
Are
are
those
the
are those
they
the
are
adventures you want
not.
to go on? I don't know.
Yes, it's if you
Hey.
live in a city and women think you're a little gay, yeah, you're going to get laid.
Yeah.
You're I'm not
How
kidding.
does
No,
that
no,
work?
no, no,
Yes,
no.
it's gonna
You
work.
got to square the circle on that one. How does
No,
that
and,
work?
like,
They
No,
think
wait.
you're
If they
gay, so
think
they
you're
will-
gay, they're gonna try to have sex with
No,
you.
no, no, no.
Make
If they
that
think,
make
if they,
sense.
no, here's the
No,
thing.
yeah,
Bisexual
yeah,
men.
yeah.
If you feel a
Eventually,
little
okay,
gay,
that's the.
if you
I
feel
want
like
to.
a
I want to
little
hear from
gay,
her, Charlie. I'm curious.
That is the most bonkers stuff I have ever heard. I
No,
gotta
this
be
is
real
this
with
is
you.
very
Okay,
true.
listen to me.
Unfortunately,
I'm
Well, actually,
sorry, listen to
fortunately,
me.
depending on
I've
what
lived
you're
in
Star
into.
has very
San
strong views on bisexual men. Okay,
I
so
have
don't listen
listened
to
to well,
No, I don't. I am totally fine with bisexual men.
No, but
I
you wouldn't. You said you wouldn't date one. You said you wouldn't go near a bisexual man. I thought.
That's
you,
not a
I thought
strong
you said that.
opinion.
Oh, okay.
You wouldn't
I
date a
thought
short man either, would you? Let's see.
I thought
let's
I
see.
had
Would
heard
you
it.
date a
No,
short
no.
man,
no
Stardust?
short man.
Apparently, I was wrong.
There you go.
plenty of bisexual men. I don't know what's going on there. Where you're getting those?
Yep, I
Those
thought
all
I
right.
did. I
Well,
thought I had heard
anyway,
it.
I wanna hear-
my
I wanna hear
point
Charlie's
is,
thing.
my point is, I've lived in Los Angeles, I've lived in San Francisco, Sacramento, I've
that
lived
kind
in
of-
Glasgow, I've lived in Portland. All right, those
doesn't
are
mean
those
it's
are
bad
those are
men.
cities.
What?
Wait. Just let me say something. And I need to tell you that the kind of men who get laid in cities, in blue cities, are men who are a little bit fruity. Men who come off as a little bit fruity. That is why the Harry Styles of the world, the Timothy Chalamets, all the heartthrobs
Yep.
are men who are just a little bit effeminate. You know, still fairly masculine, but a little bit effeminate, but like in touch with their feminine side.
That's a little
They
different
talk
than
a
what
little
you
soft.
originally
But
said.
they're also
Well, you
handsome.
can let her
because obviously
clarify.
there's a
See,
little
now
bit
I
of
have to
tongue
be
in cheek.
incel adjacent.
They come
They're
off as a
handsome
little
men.
bit gay, and that's okay.
There's a little bit
Yeah,
of tongue in
I'm just
cheekness, but there's a
Well,
truth
you
being
weren't
hit at.
really
There's a
bad.
truth being hit at. Hold on. There's a general truth being hit at, which is something that men generally don't get about women when they are approaching, especially, is for men, we don't have the same need that women have in a new situation with a new person. Safety and comfort are two boxes that have to be checked first before you can
You're
get to
bugging.
fun and flirty, before you
You're
can get to
bugging.
any of the other positive energy. And she's
Absolutely.
being tongue-in-cheek about like seeming gay, but what she means is if you seem empathetic to a woman and you seem like someone who is around women and is safe to be around women, you check those boxes almost by default. You still have a ton of work to do to check the desired box that you want to in the end, but some of the work is done for you from the outset if you have anything that pre-checks the safety and comfort
Yeah, I
box.
want to
Yeah,
add to this,
like,
Jeb. If you are someone who
I agree with
seems
that,
like
but-
is trying to like
Agreed.
embody this masculine stereotype, and you're stoic, and you like won't even like, oh, that's gay, I wouldn't do that. That does send off red flags. And if on the opposite side, you're like, oh yeah, like I can talk about like how I dress and things that people traditionally masculine people be like, oh, that guy's gay, he gives a shit about his appearance. Oh, that guy's gay, he talks about his feelings. If you do those things that are considered gay by these very, traditionally masculine conservative people, women are more warm to you because they're like, oh, that person is actually a little more in touch with
He's
an emotional side
confident.
or something.
He's
Yeah.
Here's a
confident.
caveat.
Like I live in a
caveat.
very
There's an
conservative
extremely important
city.
caveat.
I live in a very conservative. I just want to add to this because I live in
rabbit.
a very conservative city, and there was a point in my 20s where one of my roommates, one of my best friends, came out. We were living together already at that point as roommates. He worked as a bouncer in a gay bar. Let me know that they had free pools on Monday nights for members, and memberships only cost $5 for life. So I was playing pool at the gay bar every Monday night, and you would be surprised to see how many women there are hanging out at the gay bar. And as a straight, fairly masculine man in a gay bar, I got hit on a lot once they were very receptive and became more interested in me once they found out that I was straight, but that I was willing to hang out and be a part of the gay community as a fully functioning heterosexual man.
I just
Yeah,
think
but
Deb
the,
has
So I do.
take on this. I think like I was confused by the a little bit gay thing because maybe I just don't have like the gaydar or whatever. But I don't know, like Deb, why the fuck are you mixing me up with Bad Bunny? Do we look alike? What's going on here?
Wait, does Bad... Oh, you're talking about female Bad Bunny. I thought you were saying the actual bisexual man Bad Bunny. Yeah, I was like, wait, no.
You look like the Latino rapper. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
A little
no,
bit.
I'm sorry. I thought we had this conversation before, like way back when I like, because most people don't know the Jeb lore. I actually came kind of into this space through Star's community, but no, I misremembered. It was you and Hippy Dippy, yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
Star number
I mean,
one.
I did too, Star. So that's kind of how it is.
yeah. Look,
Stardust is
listen.
a
I
vector.
don't know if it's a good idea to tell a young man that he should kind of come off a little bit fruity. We have to
Well,
ask.
well,
like,
that
what
already,
if
so
these
that already
states
happened.
were
So
actually
I want to,
legalizing
so I
it?
do want to be.
afraid of
Go
doing
ahead,
it.
go
You
ahead,
shouldn't be
So
non-fun.
afraid of doing
right,
it.
right, right.
Go ahead,
So
non-fun. Non-fun, go
I
ahead.
agree mostly with what like Charlie and Jeb said, and like I think that's why like Soy Pale said I hang out with a lot of women because I have a lot of friendships with women. But part of the reason rhetoric that Soy Pale might consider like incel adjacent, has been the stuff that's made like maybe want to improve is because like at bottom like I do fundamentally feel like if you want to have a relationship with a woman, you have to have above zero of like something to offer her, and typically. Like those are going to be like more
adjacent.
Can I ask-
That's
can I
com-
ask-
that's- wait, hold on. Wait, Wick.
opposite
He
of
just
non-fun.
he just addressed me.
Non-fun.
Can I respond to him? He just addressed me though, because I
Okay,
want to
but I
respond
got
to
a
this.
question for him
Go-
after you.
Right.
Go
So
ahead.
non-fun. I don't think saying you need to have something to offer a woman is incel adjacent. This is true in any relationship. Women are looking for something. Men are looking for something. And if you offer them nothing, you're not going to be able to date. If you're not attractive, if you're not providing stability, and this goes both genders, they're not going to want to date you. It's like, oh, you're just a guy who I can be friends with. Okay, whatever. Like that's what friends are for. If you want a relationship, you do need to have some sort of mutually exchanging thing of a relationship. If that's what people are looking for, and this is not incel adjacent, and I would not deride you for saying.
I don't think it's intrinsically incel adjacent. But I've only like I've heard that from incel adjacent people, and that like
right.
That's
But the
been
incel
that's
version of that
the reason
non-fun
got through
is women only seek value in men. They don't care about what you like are like attractive wise. What they want necessarily is your status, your money. Like these things can replace the attractiveness, and that's all they want because they are materialistic. When
It comes down
men
to the
do this
breadth
too.
of your definition of
yes.
something to offer. Like there's a lot broader of a definition of something to offer. Like you, non-fun, I identify as someone who has very particular things to offer a woman. But an incel would disagree because they don't see you being sort of like funny and intelligent as something to offer.
I want to ask non-fun a question. Non-fun, you say you have a lot of women friends that you hang around with. You have a lot of them that spend time with you. They think you're safe. We've talked before, and I think in public, and I don't think this is private to share, that you don't have a girlfriend and you haven't had a girlfriend. Is that accurate still?
Yeah.
Okay. So what do you think is the barrier that is keeping you from going from I'm hanging around with a lot of women, I have a lot of women friends, to I'm actually dating one? What seems
He's
to be
not handsome to him.
barrier stopping you?
Oh, don't say that, Zerzy.
I don't.
But that's the truth.
So that's some of the issues.
I actually think that
don't know.
non-fun's adorable.
Okay, well,
Would you let
Wow.
him spit game, Charlie?
Wow.
Let's just play the
No,
game.
because
Can he
he's
spit
young.
game?
He's really young.
But
Yeah.
so you just okay. So he's
very
really adorable.
baby aged.
But-
Yeah, he's adorable.
But you're not gonna let him spit game. So what?
Because
good
there's
is
an
it to
11-year
call him
age
adorable?
gap.
Younger
Why are
than
you making this a
There's
dichotomy,
a huge
dude?
age gap. That's like he's
It's
younger
look,
than my
I'll tell you
baby
why.
brother.
Look,
And that's
Xerxes,
why.
Xerxes,
Because-
it's because she's
I'm gonna
not
tell you why.
Destiny. She's not going to slide into his DMs when he's 18.
You know
I
what?
think
No,
he's just
I'm
like
not.
one haircut
Right.
away from a really,
No.
really young Ryan
Great
Reynolds
argument.
kind of
Yeah,
thing going on there.
precisely. Yes, like one good haircut away from a young Ryan Gosling.
But the problem
Ryan Gosling,
is in
right.
real
No,
time.
I
You still
hold on,
found
stop,
a
Xerxes,
reason.
stop, because Non-Fawn hasn't answered my question. I'd like to give him an opportunity to do so. What do you feel Non-Fawn is holding you back from being someone who hangs out with a lot of women to someone who's actually having a relationship with a woman?
So I don't exactly know. I think that's part of the issue. But I guess one I would say like I don't approach many women with the intent of starting a relationship. At least a romantic one. That's changed a little bit. I don't like to. I'm nervous. I don't like talking to people in general, let alone woman. Oh my god.
Yeah. So and this is not to shit on you, Non-Fun, but like, if I had to guess, because I know people that look like you that did perfectly fine in college, it is a lot more to do with the rhetoric and how you feel about approaching these people than it does with Xerxes' implication that, oh, well, you're just not attractive and that's why they don't want you.
He's not
First
him.
of all,
no.
No.
Let's actually have the conversation.
First of all, Non-Fun is a
Because if
cutie,
he
and I'm
was
not just
what
saying that
these
to be
women-
nice.
If
Second
he
of
was
all,
what these women wanted, here's the thing: they would
women
go to him.
do not
They
want
would
someone who is
approach him. They would
insecure
flirt with
and
him.
nervous about it. Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
But listen, it would be irrelevant.
How tall are you
Go
now?
ahead.
I'm 5'6".
5'6".
So you're a little lanky too.
I see that face.
He's my
Goddamn.
short kid.
Don't listen to Mooncake.
Wait.
Wait, I have to say this. Sirs, I have to say this. This is not to be mean to you, Mooncake.
Right now.
Wait,
No.
Non-Fun. I need to say something about Mooncake. I'm going to throw you under the bus here. At one time I asked you, what's a good gift for someone? And you were like, a trip to the fucking like Greek islands or something because you had a
Oh,
fucking
that's good.
sugar daddy, bank manager, millionaire boyfriend.
I
So
know
do
you
not
know
use
the truth.
Mooncake.
That
Do
is
not
That's a
use
little disconnected,
Mooncake as your
That's true,
standards.
Mooncake. That's a little disconnected.
Mooncake
To
would
be fair, I
blackpill
gotta-
any man,
I was
no
sorry on
matter
that
how
one. That's a little
She's
disconnected.
also like
desirable they
she's
were.
also like 5'10". She's also like 5'10", and
Yeah,
most
thank you,
women
5'10".
value people who are
Well, if
just a
you're
little bit
5'10",
taller
I
than
think-
them. So.
Okay, yeah, typically a lot of women do
Yeah.
want to date taller
Thank you.
than them.
It's gonna be like that and up.
A lot of
Yeah.
short. I've dated men my height multiple times. I dated. Oh my god, I had a friend with benefits in college who was a 5'3" Filipino man.
But you didn't stay with him.
It's
See,
pretty
see,
interesting.
here's what's important.
Oh,
It's not-
goalposts,
it's not
goalposts,
enough to
I didn't
be
stay with him
able to
because there was a
get
lot of
there. We got
drama.
it's,
We were friends.
and
We weren't.
maybe
dating,
maybe
we were
that's
just
the case.
talking. I don't know.
But you have to understand the greater point, right? It's like a lot of people will say, "Well, someone of such regard has had such relationship." Okay, but you're not with that person now. It was short term. It was friends with benefits. It was situational ship.
Zers,
The
if you
question
cannot
is,
use
how
Charlie
do
as an
we get
example, and I'm
into
not gonna
good relationships,
divulge
right?
any of Charlie's private information,
Can
but I
I-
will say this. Charlie is the epitome of "you're just wrong," and I can't prove it, but you're just wrong. Trust me.
No, she has a
Yeah,
particular
White
life
Pill-
experience.
White Pill
Let's just
has
be
seen
real.
it-
Like,
White Pill has seen a lot of the people that I've been with, and he was like, "What the fuck, bitch?" And I was like,
and I believe it. But Charlie, let's just be real for a
Hey.
moment. You're probably a little different than most ladies, right? You're a different cut. I'm just let's not kid
Okay,
ourselves
yeah,
on
that's
that
fair.
one, right?
That's
So
fair.
if that's
I
the
know.
case, right? Let's talk about like generally, like how are we going to
There's
have
weird bitches
relationships
out there.
with women? But
Yeah,
how
I-
many of them?
Yeah,
And
I
how
can-
many of them are
you know,
single?
You,
Out
actually,
there.
See?
you actually want the weird girls. You absolutely want the weird. Here,
I've got something on this
here's-
though.
Well, that
non-fun,
depends.
here's what you do: get yourself a gamer girl who would be really happy if you bought her like an Undertale plush or something.
No, stop. Okay,
That's
can
what
I-
you need.
True, true.
I jump in. Like
You
mutual
still
interest
have-
is obviously like an obvious answer. You're obviously gonna have more success
Non-fun-
with people who are more like
This is
you
a-
and things.
This is a fucking problem with all of you. Namfon gave us his problem, and you all
I'm
just
trying to
ignored
speak to it. I'm literally trying to speak to it, and you interrupted me.
Okay,
Probably
When I'm
multiple
fun,
problems, to be
when
fair.
you say
but-
when you say your problem is that you're not approaching enough of them because you get nervous, I think that's partially true. But I think the truth of the problem is with a lot of people who have a lot of female friends but can't translate that into like relationships is the toughest balance to strike, especially when you're younger and you don't have like a confident presence yet because you haven't totally found your you quite yet, is the striking the balance between making women feel safe and comfortable but also doing what Charlie mentioned earlier, which is making them feel like a lady, like creating some
trash.
contrast, some
Unless you
masculine contrast there while keeping them feeling safe, especially right because money helps you do that, right? Being really funny helps you do that. Being confident also is one of the best ways that helps you do that. And so it's not that you're not talking to them, because if you talk to them and still weren't confident, you still wouldn't necessarily be doing that. It's about focusing primarily on the internal and kind of establishing who non-fun is, and then bringing that assertively into conversations without
painful.
losing your ability to make women feel safe and comfortable around you. Because
Don't-
then you
don't-
can
don't
make
do
them
them
feel
like
like a
this.
lady
Yeah,
by
Zer-
having that contrast.
Zers, you can lament
that's
one
not
of these
doing
two
like this.
people.
Wait,
One of these two
that's
people is
fantastic.
married,
Don't do 'em like
Zers, and
this.
it's
Don't
not
do 'em
you.
like this.
So
Don't do 'em
like,
like this, bro.
so
Don't
just-
do 'em
just real
like
quick.
that, man.
No. He's right. He's right because when I was
Just be
younger,
yourself.
I was
No,
exactly
that's not
like
what he said,
non-fun when I
actually.
was younger. That's not what he said. So I was exactly like non-fun when I was younger, like when I was like 16 or whatever. And what I ended up doing was I didn't focus on women at all. I self-improved for a long time. There were a few lonely years in there for sure, but eventually a woman approached me. And then as soon as I had the experience of having a woman approaching me, I was like, oh, I guess I can actually do this now. And then that didn't work out, but then I could approach women afterward because I had the confidence from having self-improved enough.
Listen,
I
So
don't-
just-
listen.
hold on,
People
just- just-
misunderstand.
hold
People
on,
misunderstand. I have to
I don't
address
think
this.
you need that. I think that's a mistake. I don't think you
It is a
need
mistake.
to wait a few years, work on yourself. I think what you need to do is to see women as less of a prize, as less of something
this is
pedestal,
true.
and just realize they got the same insecurities that you do in a lot of cases.
Mhm.
I'm telling you, they're people.
Yes.
See,
Yeah, and
the
I'm not
thing is-
saying wait
let-
2
let me-
years.
let me
I'm
cook.
saying this is a process that can happen quickly, but I'm saying that necessary thing,
No,
what
I'm
you're
gonna do
talking
this. We're
about
gonna
is
do
part
this.
of
Hold
what
on.
I'm saying.
We're gonna do this.
This
Not mine.
confidence
I know
thing
I
is-
said
Let
I'm
me
gonna set
clarify
this
what
up
I said.
before.
Let me
Wait,
clarify what I said. Because
wait, Dev. I think
don't
Wick. Don't you have to
should
go in
wait
5
2
minutes?
years.
Me?
Don't you have a panel? Don't you have an Andrew Wilson panel in
At
5
11
minets?
p.m. Eastern.
Oh,
Exactly,
okay.
yeah.
Okay. Just
That's
checking.
why
I was
you
just
say
checking. I was
time
worried
ago.
about you. I'm sorry.
No,
Let
thank
me
you.
just clarify what I said. I don't mean that you should wait several years like I did, just that it did work for me. It doesn't have to be several years. That's all.
Non-fun.
Yeah,
This
but
is not
here's
a
the-
Dragon Ball Z
Sure.
training montage. You don't have to go away for like 8 episodes and
Exactly,
run
yeah.
around hell and get there.
Hyperbolic
This-
time
this
chamber,
is-
fam.
you-
Can I-
here, here,
Mon-
this is-
non-fun,
this
I
is
haven't
how you
made
get
any
your dick
prescript-
wet.
oh,
Wait,
go
wait,
ahead.
Whoa
go
there,
ahead.
Elon.
Let me
Careful.
give you the solution. So women's
Silly pill canceled.
attraction to you is mostly in their head. It's not in
Thank
your
you.
eyes. It's not in your arms. You need big dick energy. You need to have them create the story you want in their head, and then you just have to not fuck it up with them.
So be
Don't
attractive.
do things that pulls
You're
that
not
away.
him to these
No,
women.
don't
Cersei,
say
stop.
don't say the wrong thing. Don't do anything creepy. Don't rub her back in the grocery store. You know, you
That I'm
just
good
have
at.
to
You can be
avoid-
creepy if they want you. See, this is you guys don't
have
understand.
to let me finish. You have to make them feel like you're pursuing them. You have to be overt in
We're
that.
gonna make this a panel.
You-
We're gonna
and
make this an
then
actual panel.
you
Non-fun.
just
I'm
have to-
gonna get you on. We're gonna have a lot of women and a lot of men. Okay. We're gonna get you something. Okay. We're gonna teach you how to approach women. Okay. We're gonna make this.
You guys
a
are
panel.
giving him
energy.
next
this
week.
blue
Wait
pill
up.
advice.
What are you
Quick
doing
You guys
next
are
week?
telling
on
him.
dick
You guys are
energy.
telling him.
You're
This
welcome.
is some
Well, wait, not
Capricorn.
I was
The
his
power
age
is
when I
yours.
got in the
We'll get
relationship
it.
I'm in now. Like, I know how to make it happen at his age as like a Twinkie looking kind of skinny dude. I've done it. I've been there. Like,
Maybe okay. So you have n equals 1. The question is, can you replicate that?
you're n equals
Yes.
fucking 0 for his.
Okay, so you
I mean,
attacked
that's
me.
what
I asked you a
married
question.
with a
Don't
kid.
talk about me. Talk about you. Can you replicate
You just
it?
talked about
Yeah.
You can replicate it. Make a business then, right?
Okay,
If
wait.
you're the one lucky
Zeus,
guy,
please.
and
I
you
know
got the one
everyone
woman
giving
who
really
likes you,
reasonable vows makes you
game, set,
spurt
match.
out,
That's
but
great
can you
for
please
you.
please
The
stop
question
interrupting
is-
people, dude?
Hold on, Soy. Hold on, Soy.
I
Hold on,
can't,
Soy.
dude. You're
Game, set,
you're trying to
match.
black pill
If you-
non-fun, dude. I don't like it. I don't want you to
hold on. No, I'm
finish.
trying to
I don't
tell
want
him
you
the
to
truth.
cook.
I want
I want a
non-fun to know
hope
what's
pill,
true.
and you're
Yeah,
trying to
that's what's
black
true.
pill. It's not
I'm trying
okay.
to tell him the truth. He needs to know this. This is
What's
gonna
the tr-
help
okay?
him.
Wait,
This
actually,
is-
yes,
this is
Cersei.
medicine.
What is the
It's
prescriptive
bitter,
claim? What's the
but it's
prescriptive
going
claim?
to heal you. Listen, it's bitter, but it's going to heal you. The whole thing about confidence is what gets you to make the approach. But at the same time, you have to recognize the woman is still her own person with her own life, her whole story. She does have to feel attracted to you. That's fair. There's nothing wrong with that, actually. People are so upset with the black pill, but the truth is, yes, you have to, if you're going to cold approach, yes, you have to be attractive to her. If you're friends with her and you want to transition this into a long-term relationship, you are going to have some degree of attraction and sex appeal. You have to cross that barrier. Now, the question is, where do we find women that want that? Now, they actually gave you some pretty good advice insofar as you go to a liberal area, you act a little Twinkie, or you do whatever you do there, and perhaps you'll find success in that environment. The question is that the man you want to be? I don't know. I wouldn't want to be that man, but
Are you going to
maybe
give
wanna
him
be a
prescriptive
Twinkie little
advice,
man.
or are you just going to incel
so
pill?
this is, so the prescriptive advice is very simple, right? The first thing you actually have to do, if you ask me, long before you try to be with a woman, is you need to focus on your character, right? Not for the women, but so that you are actually a good person to be in a relationship with. That's game set match.
This is sounding
It
very
doesn't
familiar.
matter if you are. It should
I'm
sound
sorry.
familiar because you watched my video.
No, it's because
Sorry,
Jeb
it's
just
familiar.
fucking said it, and you said it was
You watched the things
bullshit.
that I've said,
No,
right?
because
So what
Jeb
I'm
said
saying
this.
is-
This is what Jeb said.
Yeah,
You
listen,
shit on him for it.
Listen.
I mean,
So I'll tell you why. I'll tell you the difference. The difference is he's making it prescriptive to women. To get to women, it doesn't matter if you're a good person, good character. It matters if you're attracted to them. That's to get to women. But I'm not here to get you to women. I'm here to get you into a good relationship with someone that actually cares
I
about you.
didn't
No,
make
you're
my
you're
advice.
here for us to
Yeah,
call you
yeah,
an
yeah,
incel,
yeah,
actually.
yeah.
Admit it
Soy Pill
right
has
now,
something-
though.
Hold on, Soy Pill had some things to say.
Yes,
Soy Pill wanted
okay.
to give some advice. Go ahead.
If you ever listen to Xerxes, you are doing yourself a disfavor, and it does equal
you're
0
doing
there.
yourself
Hold
a
on, please don't
service.
interrupt. You've talked for a very
Life
long
is
time,
gonna be
buddy.
a lot
Please
better.
stop, please stop. Okay, so first
You
of all,
were
he's
on
just
the panel
repeating.
for
Please
2
stop.
hours. What are you
Please,
talking
yeah.
about?
Well, this isn't your panel, buddy. I organized it. Okay.
Well, let's
So
let-
You were-
okay,
you
so
were-
t-
you were
please,
talking on it.
please,
Hold on, let Soy Pill
please,
finish his point, Xerxes,
please.
please.
I'm
Soy
All right.
Pill, please.
Look.
Go ahead.
One thing that you're probably doing right now is putting yourself out there and talking to women, because my journey with women has been one of consistent iterations and failures. I was a fat, awkward, nervous person who viewed women as a prize. As Wick said, you should not. That is how a lot of men are raised in our society. It starts around 12, 13, you hit puberty, you're like, oh, I have all these emotions, I want to get with a woman. That is how every movie, every single story is. That's the prize to be won. Once you get that relationship, you're there. And what you realize is as you fail with these women, as you like go and talk to them, and it's like, oh, that doesn't work. And Xerxes, one thing you said that was right is women are people, right? Sometimes you're not what they're looking for, but also also sometimes you're not what you want to be yet, and you're still figuring stuff out. So once you failed with a lot of people and you realize, oh, like when I talk to these people, like I have something on the line, like as soon as they reject me, I've lost something, and not, hey, I didn't enjoy that conversation with this person because we're not really a chemistry, we didn't have that chemistry. You start to realize through these failures and through trying over and over again what you are, what you're looking for, and eventually you come to the fact of, hey, I have friends, and maybe there's an attraction there that develops, and maybe I work on myself, but ultimately I've had to fail a bunch of times before I really realized what I'm looking for. Sometimes it works out. I think Jeb probably, he said he got married young, probably figured it out pretty fast. I am still figuring this out, and I'm almost 30, and some people never figure it out. But if you don't go out and try, if you are constantly held back by this fear of rejection, fear of not being the right thing, that's never going to get you anywhere. You do have to go out and put yourself out there, and you're going to get rejected, but that's good because usually the people that don't want you are not necessarily people you want to be with, and that's just part of developing into who you are.
Non-fun, this is the unironically best advice you'll ever get. And this you can do right now, tonight, okay? 100 women, DM them, compliment them on their looks, right? And say, hey, let's talk. You'll get one response. Shot down 100 times.
See, that does sound Incel-adjacent.
Or you'll get zero. Or you'll get zero.
No, I'm not
meeting the allegations.
Hold on. What this does is it gets you used to approaching women coldly. It sets you up.
No, it doesn't, because you're in the DMs.
Don't do it in DMs. Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like it's sort of it's an avoidant maneuver. I feel like doing it online.
Effective, I feel like.
Non-fun.
In person and talk to people. Like you have to go in person and approach people and talk to people like they're normal people, right? Don't put any pressure on them. But
the fact that you're not sending your dick is going to put you way above their other DMs.
That's not how that works.
DMing people, not building that experience, right? Like going in person and facing somebody face to face and dealing with that kind of like awkwardness, that is giving you the experience that you need.
Yeah, like connection depends on context, and just DMing people is not going to build context. What you need to do is deprioritize finding a relationship as your goal. You need to get out there. You have to do the things that you like doing. And then once you're inside of a space where you are doing what you enjoy, look around. See the women that are there doing what you're also doing. You are now in a context where you can build real connection. You have something to build off of. And that's where you have to demonstrate the bravery that I think is the kernel of what Wick was trying to say. Put yourself out there, but put yourself out there in a context that's meaningful to you, that will create a connection that will then become meaningful as well.
Yeah, because that's the only...
I've got to take off, so let me just... I've got to take off, so let me just hop in here. Here's the actual best advice you will hear tonight, no matter what happens after I leave. Just transition. You will get so many dudes. You won't be a problem.
Have you considered getting a vagina?
That will work. You will get a lot of girls and dudes. And many different kinds of people. I also got a bounce. I did not realize it was 6:15, but I had fun.
I'm
Thank
glad
you,
you had
everyone.
fun. Thanks for coming, gang.
Thank you for having me.
Before I go to, I just want to ask, non-fun, do you have like a specific type, or is it like you're just open? I'm just curious.
I don't. I have preferences. I don't.
What's your preference? Is your preference more? Hold on. Is your preference more Charlie? Is your preference more Mooncake? Your preference more Stardust?
Stop objectifying these women.
Okay, so I'm definitely not going to answer it.
Is it only women? What is
that way?
Wait. I have to clear something up though for you. I have to clear something up for non-fun. To be clear, non-fun. I guarantee you, knowing who you are, how you talk, and what you're interested in. Right now, you're worried about, oh, I don't have a girlfriend. These people that you're DMing, I know it's a joke, or you're like replying to on Twitter. I 1000% promise you, the instant that you now have the option to choose, and this will happen to you eventually, you will realize, holy fucking shit, these people are vapid, and I do not enjoy our conversations. And then you'll realize that this idea of achieving a girlfriend meant a lot less than finding someone you enjoyed being around, which is actually the hard part of finding a wife in a relationship. Right now, you're worried about a step that eventually you will never care about.
Yeah, like right now your standards are sitting at the 3 W's, right? Warm, wet, and willing. And you are worth more than that.
Well, to be fair to non-fun,
my standards aren't that low, I don't think.
He hasn't actually
Lactoid in the chat,
gone into
warm
detail.
apparently is not one of his criteria, so we can talk about that more.
No, but
but no.
non-con hasn't really gone into detail about like what he wants, what he's really tried. Like, we're kind of
Well, I think he's-
prescribing or projecting onto him, right? So
Well, because he's kind of stayed quiet because I think he's trying not to limit his pool at this point.
And
by
there's, I
saying
talked to
anything too
Non-Fon,
specific.
and I know what Non-Fon
It's-
talks about and what he's interested in, and I know
Yeah.
what kind of women I like.
So
I
why
wouldn't be able
haven't
to
you set
pick
him
the
up?
perfect women for it because I don't know.
True.
I actually, first of all, just now you gave me the idea of like in the past hour, I know a lot of people that like a lot of the stuff that Non-Fon does, specifically the Shrimp Welfare Project,
brother up.
and I'm gonna throw him in
He
the
did.
Discord.
He said,
Yeah.
he said
Right,
join the
good.
Discord.
I just
But
wanna
no,
make sure,
I-
I want to look. I like to get commitments, and I like to make sure they're clear, so
Okay.
people are more likely.
That's
to
my
follow
action
through
item. It's on my calendar right now. I'm
Yeah,
gonna throw him in
something
there.
Rabid said. Well, something Rabid said that was kind of my small issue with the like just go to LARP and get pussy advice was like what Rabbit said kind of clues into what I would critique that with, which is one of the ways that makes it really hard to both check the safety box and make a woman feel like a lady is when your express intent to be in the context that you're in is to fuck, because you're either going to seem really predatory, which isn't going to check the safety box, or you're going to seem really desperate, which isn't going to check the making them feel like a lady in front of like a man with some assertive presence box. And so I think Rabid's 100% that the woman thing will come more naturally if you just get into spaces where you care for yourself a little bit and get into spaces where you feel comfortable and you feel powerful and you feel like you have something to offer, like you mentioned before, because your intelligence and your special interest is something to offer. Like it's enough, 100%. I've seen that work a million times.
Mooncake, thank
Bye,
you
Mooncake.
for coming by.
But yeah, you just need to get into spaces where you know, like you feel confident that in this space, what I have to offer is valued. And you're going to see your own willingness to engage with women change. You're going to see their responses to you change. And you might not be able to put your finger on why right away, but it's going to be because you're just coming in more secure in the fact that you have something to offer. And that can check the make them feel like a lady box. Because they're like, okay, this guy's got a presence. He's got an assertiveness. He's got something he's bringing to the conversation.
Can I
No,
ask you guys
that's the cart
it's a
before the
totally
horse. I
unrelated
think.
question, but I want your advice on this, especially the streamers here in the room, right? Would it be better to just have this continue to go like and just roll directly into the Andrew Wilson segment, or should I end this stream and set a whole new stream for the next segment, which is better?
Probably a whole new stream, because otherwise you're gonna have like a 6-hour stream with two completely different topics tied together. I always cut those up when I re-upload them.
Yeah, that's
And
probably
if you have to
true.
dump the VOD, do you want to lose
So
everything?
what we're gonna do then is I'm going to end the show for now, but gang, at about 10:50, 10:45, I'm gonna go live again, and we'll be in fighting the Christian nationalist mode. Okay.
Bring a
So
pickle
I
jar.
want to thank everyone for coming and being here, and wish me luck tonight. I think it'll go well, but you never know. Okay?
Whenever he says a noun, ask him to define it.
He does do that a lot, doesn't he?
You had a rough time with him, didn't you?
And then after he
Yeah,
answers your
rough time,
question,
bro.
immediately ask another question so he can never get a point out without you saying, wait, you haven't answered my question yet.
And then if he
Well,
asks
maybe
you
just
your
answer his
definition,
question,
say
and
it's
then-
not my job to answer the question.
Yeah.
Look,
Not until you answer mine,
you
and then
guys are doing
immediately
too
ask
much
another
to Andrew.
question.
Listen, you guys are doing too much to Andrew, man.
He
Just
brought it
answer
on
the question
himself.
and keep it moving.
No,
Answer
because
the
then he will
question.
just ask another one
Go
immediately
ahead,
about that.
Go ahead,
answer.
Stardust.
Him to name every single thing that ask him to name like 10 Christian nationalists who've ever done something positive or invented something for society. Do that. Okay?
Well, that's a poor argument. He would just say that
Look,
objectively.
oh
it wouldn't
my God,
matter
the
if
dick
someone had
riding, dude.
accomplished it or not. Like you'd have to argue the merits of
No,
the
no,
conversation. He would cook that.
We're talking about his debate tactics, though.
Yeah.
We're
Well, we'll
making
see.
We're very aware that these are bad argument tactics. It's just
Yeah,
really
we know.
annoying.
You guys,
And we-
you
and we
guys
like
are
doing it
doing
back
Andrew
then.
too
KO
dirty,
Dave,
bro.
though.
You guys are.
Andrew did
Well,
it to
I'll
himself
say
by
this,
speaking.
I'll say this.
With
Any
Andrew.
man
This is
who
fun.
challenges me publicly to a boxing match, offers me money to do it, and then backs out like a pussy is not someone I respect.
You
Oh, you're
should
the one
bring
that's supposed
KO
to box?
Dave in for like
Right.
30
How did that come
seconds.
about?
now.
He said $20,000 to go 3 rounds with him in a ring. I said, okay, June 28th. I gave him a date. I said he got to pick the venue. He ghosted me, bro. Didn't say shit.
Because his doctor gave him an X-ray of his lungs, and he's like, maybe
Yeah, on
not.
that last panel, that guy that said he'd train him said that he's the best trainer ever, but I don't know if I can believe him when he can't even get his fighter to enter the ring. That seems like the minimum stakes.
At the end of the day, this whole debate tonight is coming about because me and Eucharist utterly destroyed his little, I guess, underlings, minions, whatever you want to call them. I mean, it wasn't even close. It was probably the clearest W I've ever taken in the debate space. And so I guess he has to like regain their honor. But the problem with Christian nationalism is there's no good examples of it working, right? Ever in history,
Well, there's
right?
well, has it ever truly been implemented?
Yeah.
Not in the
Yes. Hold on. This is
That
the
was a
thing.
real
This is the
Christian
thing. I'll give you guys a little bit of a sneak peek. Okay, I'm gonna read you. Okay, in 1942, B.J. Vorster declared this. He said, "We stand for Christian nationalism, which is an ally of National Socialism. You can call this anti-democratic principle dictatorship if you wish. In Italy, it is called fascism. In Germany, National Socialism. And in South Africa, Christian nationalism. And this man is a man who would later go on to become the prime minister of apartheid South Africa. South Africa, under apartheid, was a Christian nationalist nation." And this is just one example of how it is a dog shit ideology. But
Okay, but Wick,
Okay.
South Africans that give Roman salutes, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're fascist backers.
That's true.
he calls himself fascist. They said they were. I don't know what to tell you, but
Good luck, Wick. We believe in you. Have fun.
Yeah.
I'm curious.
I think it
We'll
was
see.
fun. I appreciate being on the panel, Wick, and thank you for allowing me to come on and create chaos and derail
I
as
always
usual.
like you, Stardust. Anytime you want, but I gotta go. We're gonna end stream now.
See
Bye.
ya.
You're kicking
Yeah,
us out?
glad
Can
you
we
let
keep
me
talking
derail.
here? Okay.
I'm fine. You willing to stay and talk a little?
Yeah, you guys can.
after?
You guys can hang
We're
out.
gonna
Oh, I
find
guess.
non-fawn love.
Wait, I thought Wick was going to do a
It-
panel
I
of us
started-
giving you advice.
Well, we can
Oh,
do
we
more
are.
advice.
Yeah, that's true.
There's
So there's that.
To be honest,
Tuesday.
Wick
Hold-
definitely
non-fun,
liked
just real
my
quick
tweet
before I go.
saying that I was going to be on this and
Non-fun.
didn't invite me on it.
Non-fun. Send me a good selfie and I'll advertise. I'll get the women.
In the shrimp
Oh, I-
costume. In the shrimp costume.
Yeah,
Women love
shrimp
animal
costume.
costumes.
Don't do
That's
it, not
true.
fun.
Do it
I did.
non-con.
I started streaming on my end, and my viewers are not going to put up with the woman talk for that long. So I don't know how long I'm going to stick
When
around.
It's
Maybe
okay.
answer
I got like
something.
5-6 minutes,
We
but
can-
I just wanted to keep talking. I mean, like I part of my adjacent mission other than politics is to do like, you know, dating advice and young men advice, and you are the prototypical example of this, where it's like you have the same problems that a lot of men have when they're teenagers and a little older. Plus, I am willing to bet you went through school went during COVID, so you missed out on a lot of formative years where you're supposed to be fucking up and learning, right? So you're like a little developmentally delayed without the, you know, retardation attached, just in the
kindest
and
meaning of that.
Little
yeah.
COVID tistic.
I
we
typically
said.
I agree with that. I you know. Like,
How
I get
old
it-
are you?
like, I'm 19.
Yeah, it's just
Like
not
a
even a
rose
problem. Like I
19
I
or a
just
Oh, you're
I
19?
have
It's over, dude. It's so over for you.
No, I'm saying
Fuck, you're 19.
I literally have 0% doubt. I just don't think you're gonna struggle with women. I just think it's a matter of like, yeah, just sometimes it happens in a day. For some people, it happens over a period of years, or like a specific experience does it. I really just think you're gonna be like, you know what? I kind of have an image of like who I am, and then that makes it so much easier from that point. Like I can give you a bunch of advice for right now, but then it's gonna all become useless, and like you're gonna be like, why did I trouble myself with all that? The moment that you just sort of have your presence that you're comfortable
Nothing,
in.
Jeb, nothing you can say right now will fix it just because it's like, oh, I didn't think of it that way.
Yeah.
It's a long process of like trying and
Mhm.
failing over and over, and it is not if I just did this, that would change everything. And I just want to say, the friend I'm about to go talk to and watch a show with, not conventionally attractive, very lanky, skinny person, super smart, loves lots of stuff. Spent all of college scared to talk to women. He like straight up just like would not do it. He did not
Just
know
like
how to
me,
do
for
it.
real.
And by the like last 2 years, like 21, 22 years, he was finally like pushing himself to just go out and do shit that he hated. Parties or like stuff that he was never into. And through trying and failing of doing this, like he found out, oh, this is how you talk to people. And like I you know, like so she said, they're just people, but when you view them as this like esoteric like thing to be achieved and not like, oh, we are getting along and also maybe we're attracted to to each other. It's just super hard, but you have to get over that hump because you've been socialized to feel that way. It's not your fault. It's everyone does that and gets over it. And now he's in a great relationship and sometimes is choosy. He's like, maybe I should rethink this. And it's like, motherfucker, if you could look back 10 years and think about how you were like, oh, it's over for me, I'll never get a girlfriend. And now you're like, I'm having problems. Maybe I should look somewhere else. You know, like this happens all the time.
Yeah, like I didn't have my real first girlfriend until I was like 20. I was terrified of girls all through high school. I felt like I didn't have anything to offer them compared to my friends. Like I grew up next to an Air Force base, so I was a 16, 17-year-old competing with like 20-year-old airmen in their Camaros cruising around the high school parking lot, right? So it was a very demoralizing experience, but I moved away for college, and I think two big things happened there is one, I lived on campus, and so I was by default now in a community of people that were sharing something. We were all in post-secondary. We were all, you know, most of us on a new adventure, and I was away from most of the people who I thought were putting me in a specific kind of place as far as who I was and what my worth was, and what I could try and present out there. So I did start experimenting more myself as far as my confidence and how I projected myself. And it was with a group of people who, you know, I started having some community with. So if you just keep doing that, if you keep putting yourself out there in contexts where you have stuff just by default in common with these people, right? Explore what you like and then navigate those waters and then allow yourself to try different things, to be open. You know, I joke about big dick energy, but well, it's not really a joke though, right? Like that encompasses confidence and the ability to project yourself and what you want out to these women. You have to let them know that you're interested, that you don't want to be just friends. But
Right,
if
right.
they don't want to be more than friends, you need to accept that because as Soy said before, it's a gift for them to be open with they're not interested in you, because then you can
Yeah.
just straight up stop
It's so
pursuing
cathartic.
them,
When you get
right?
to
Yeah,
be
well, yeah.
picky as a man, which is not a very common thing, it's like, holy shit. Like, it's not a prize anymore. It's just, I'm looking for someone that makes sense for me. And it's like,
Yeah.
you look back and you're like, I was so naive.
And
Or
the
if you
least
have, like,
attractive thing for you should be someone that doesn't show interest in you,
Some-
right?
yeah.
Don't want women that don't want you.
And it depends sometimes. Sometimes it can be nuanced because I've got the sort of the the pursuit experience. If they're just straight up, if they're just like, I don't give a fuck, like definitely take that as a no. But if you're like, say you're close friends with someone and they're like, I just don't see you that way, I think sometimes you can still pursue that in the long term. But what you have to make clear is, and what you have to believe, and this is why it all happens internally first. You have to go into it okay with just being their friend. Because if they think you are now only pursuing them, because every like reasonably attractive girl will tell you, every guy friend I have has the "can I tell you something" moment, and then after that they never want to hang out with you once you say no, like, or they do but they're always still shooting their shot. You have to genuinely be interested in like being their friend too, and then be like, but man, I really hope it becomes more, and like that'll work in a lot of cases over the long period of time.
I don't know about the orbiting advice.
Like the woman, you know, the woman I'm friends with, like I think I've been friends on like once in my life. Like I you know, don't have really any feeling for the woman I'm friends with. I met them intending on really only ever being friends, right?
Sure,
So
this is
like,
only an if, you know, because for me, I had that
Yeah,
situation
sure.
where I was like, me and my fiance now, like we were best friends for like a year and a half before we were dating. And I asked her a few times and she said no, but like it's tough again, and this is something that's hard to quantify. There's a difference between a no forever and a no for now. And sometimes they are not even that aware that it's a no for now, but their language leaves it open, you know? Like for mine, it was like I was 19 or no, I was 18. And she was like, I'm just looking for someone with a little bit more established and blah, 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 and stuff like that. And I was like, yeah, that's fine. And so we continued being friends, but I was like, I can become someone more established, or I can at least do the work to become someone where that is very easy to see in the near future. And then that's what happened. Like she just saw that like I was respectful to what she felt, but I was also still willing to put in some work to be like that dude. And like this is something that can be carried forth into just an individual conversation where if you show that you're going to put in an effort to meet them where they're at in a conversation, like if you're approaching someone at a bar and you're like, listen, you're super attractive. can I buy you a drink? And like, we'll just say once you finish that drink, I fuck off. But for the duration of the time that you're drinking what I bought you, let me, shoot my shot for a second. Like, it's
always
you
give
can
women an
disarm-
out. Don't block the doorway.
Exactly,
is
yeah.
what he's saying,
Yeah,
physically
don't-
or
yeah.
metaphysically.
Because what that says to them is, I'm confident, I want to shoot my shot, but I'm also not interested in doing anything that you're not comfortable with. Like, I'm empathetic to your worry here in this situation that you're just going to get trapped talking to some weird fucking dude for an hour. So I'm going to give you a very defined, like, give me the 2 minutes it takes you to suck down an underpoured margarita.
And in that time,
then
you've sold them
we're
on
good.
Econ and the Shrimp Welfare Project, and they're like,
Yeah.
tell
Hell yeah,
me
hell yeah.
fucking
That's why,
more,
exactly.
buy me
Tell me
another
more.
drink.
I'm a cocktail, not
All
a
right,
shot.
guys,
That's my 5-minute
guys,
pinch
I gotta
conversation.
leave.
Yeah.
It's been nice, Zers. I'm sorry that you
Yeah.
think I'm disparaging you, but unfortunately, I'm just telling the truth. I'm a little scared to leave you here with
We'll just-
non-fon.
we'll-
Non-fon,
we'll-
just
we'll-
everything that Zers says with a grain of
Well,
salt,
Soy-
buddy. N equals 0, as we
just
said.
we just gotta talk more, man.
No,
We gotta-
dude, I want to
You know what's
de-radicalize
funny?
you, buddy.
You know what's funny? You know what's so funny, Soy? It's the fact that you and I get along so well, and then you come with these wild takes on me, and I just don't understand.
I don't think you're a
just
bad
don't-
person. I just think you have very bad ideas sometimes, and I don't think
No,
people should
I
listen
think-
to you for advice on how to navigate the
think- I
world in
think-
romantic space.
I
But
think they should. I think they need to know the truth. I think they need to understand it with
Look,
with
Zers, let me
grace,
put this in terms you're gonna
understanding,
understand. You're like when
and it's
Vegeta
gonna be
had
a
the
lot better
Majin
for him.
symbol on his forehead, and I'm trying to rescue
Not
you.
even, bro.
All right?
I'm like
trying to
Kakarot.
pull
I
you
don't know what
back.
you're talking
No,
about.
bro. You're
I'm like
Majin
Kakarot after
Vegeta.
I'm
You're
Super
Majin
Saiyan
Vegeta.
Blue.
You're blowing up the stadium
Listen,
full
fam,
of
look,
women.
Look, you're
all right.
Broly. You're Broly. You're off on Planet Vampa. I'm like, yo, call me Kakarot. We're gonna spar in the future. We're gonna spar. It's all good.
This is too
All right.
risky for me.
That's what it's
Bye,
like.
guys.
So-
All right, man.
All right, all right.